Good of you to drop by. This is Mark. I'm Elmer, and we are
PSI,
Pianists Investigations. And we're back for another episode. I tell you what, I'm having a really good time doing this. I don't think I'm going to get tired.
I enjoy it.
And I just got done mowing the lawn today.
Wow, I had a big business meeting today regarding a rather substantial business proposal for a musical organization. We'll see what comes of that. I'll tell you if it works out. It's a very, very good opportunity for Columbus and a lot of people if it happens.
Yeah.
So, and I just wanted to apologize. I had a really busy week, and I did get show number 16 up by last night, Wednesday night. So there wasn't all the time that I'd hoped there would be. Just to say that the plan now is, in general, we record on Thursday, and then by Monday I can get the editing done and get it uploaded and everything, so you guys have time to listen to it, watch it.
Yeah.
You can write some comments in on Facebook. You can also put them on the YouTube page, but they're connected, and maybe YouTube is like we refer to it as the forum on Facebook. And then if you have any suggestions for a topic you want us to look into or something to talk about, if you have questions that you raise in the forum, there'd be enough time then for us to respond. Both, if you want a project, it would be a couple of days for us to do the research on it and prepare it, and then otherwise we could answer. So we finally could mostly turn this into a real possible dialogue with our listeners.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I apologize that this was a week. And it just wasn't possible to get it done in time. But this coming week, anyway, shouldn't be like that. So, well, hopefully 17 is going to be up there by Monday, which is this show. So, and as I've been saying now, we got a lot of stuff.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
What I call the archives. you know that we've been doing this at least since all of last year.
All of almost last year.
When we started doing it, was last year?
I think it was.
Farther back.
I think it was like summer last year.
God, we were so digitally inept.
Oh, God.
We first tried it with the phone, which, I know some people do. Like, they got iPhones and stuff. I have an Android, but then the phone rang in the middle of the thing. Of course, I didn't answer it.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that when the phone rang, that it cut off the camera.
And
so we went on and did the show, but then there was nothing on the phone.
Yeah, it only lasted like 45 minutes.
Plus the phone, it can hold a good length of stuff. But anyway, finally we got this little camera, $80 or something.
Yeah.
So we split it.
Something like that.
And she's doing a good job. We got it set up. I talked to a colleague he's a professor and does videography and stuff like that, teaches at Columbus State. Helped us understand. So we're at the point where we know how to turn it on and record it. To be honest, if we're going to be completely honest, I forgot to attach the microphone.
Yeah.
So the first 10 minutes, there would have been no sound.
Yeah. So we're still learning.
So we started over again. But anyway, I'm really glad that it's kind of getting going, and it's a relief to have gotten those numbers. Because at one point I had 7 of them in the can.
Yeah.
That I had to get edited and put up, but now we've got 16 of them online.
Yeah.
And like we've said, tell them about putting the thumbs up and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you've been watching our episodes, keeping up with us, or even if you're new to our show here, please, if you like the content, give us a thumbs up.
And follow us.
Follow us, subscribe.
Yeah.
Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell the people at the office. This show's for anybody who's curious about us, or even piano. Okay,
Well,
especially piano geeks.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word.
That's the word.
That's how we describe ourselves.
Yeah,
we love what we do. This came out of Elmer coming to me for piano lessons.
Yeah.
And we did have good lessons.
Yeah, we had
but
good
where he
lessons.
probably, was paying for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We do that, but then we talk for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we just like the talking part so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, why don't we do this? Let's do a show. Or between the two of us.
Yeah,
exactly. We thought, So what we're doing, we love it.
Yeah.
Of course, we'd love to make some money from it. If anything, that, at some point we could maybe even be a little more professional somehow. Or maybe get a staff person or two.
Yeah.
And maybe some of all that stuff that's sitting in the archives, then those people could dig them out and turn them into shows and release them specially to listeners who wanted to buy a DVD of a bunch of shows or something like that.
Absolutely.
So, but cool thing is we get this pretty much tape, edit, and upload by Monday of every week. That should give you enough time to watch it, listen to it, make comments, ask questions and things. And we're nowhere as close to a live call-in show, phone stuff. No, I don't know how to do that.
That would be rough.
But we can at least get it so we can communicate to each other kind of in real time each week, That'd be really fun. So one other thing that I wanted to say is that what you don't know is, I don't know if any of the shows that we've got uploaded, the earlier ones, because those are from the end of last year.
Yeah.
Last year, and I mean, my God, if this is number 17 that will actually go up online, there was probably at least another 15 or more of them, maybe more than the 20 of them, that are in the archives.
Oh, yeah.
That's managed to get recorded mostly or whatever. And what we used to do a lot was Elmer would celebrate somebody's birthday that week, that day, that month.
Yeah.
And we'd talk about some composers and a lot of information like that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Lately, we've been doing more show and tell, movie reviews. And, talking about contemporary piano scene and stuff. And then I get rolling on anything, talk forever.
Yeah.
But I encouraged Elmer maybe to, let's get back to at least occasionally, bringing in a composer that
absolutely
show to talk about it a little bit.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure May 11th is Mr. Franz's birthday.
Mr. Franz's birthday?
I think next week is his birthday.
Are you talking list?
I think so. I don't have my phone with me right now, but I think for some reason May 11th sticks in my mind.
Yeah.
We missed all the Aquarians.
Okay.
Mozart, Schubert, Mendelssohn, they're all past. That doesn't mean we can't talk about them anytime we want to.
We'll come back.
But anyway, we're doing what we love to do, which is get together each week and talk about music and piano stuff, and sometimes just like things.
Yeah. But
we are pianists living our lives.
Yeah. And our lives, our experience could be your lesson.
Exactly. Well, the other thing that we've also put a picture of a couple of times is an iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
When you see an iceberg in the ocean, they got these beautiful pictures. I've found a couple of them that I put up on past shows. 2/3 to 3/4 of the iceberg is underwater.
Yeah.
What you see on the top is only a small portion of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And wow, the one picture I put up, it's like, a decent iceberg standing up above the water. But then like a huge pregnant iceberg under the water.
Under the water.
A lot of stuff there. And we like to talk about what's under the water.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about more obscure stuff in terms of recordings, players, history, things like that. Because there's a lot of stuff that should not be forgotten and let go. I remember a Korean colleague of mine ended up, he was a guitar professor in Cyprus at the university where I taught. He was a good guitarist and had some very talented students. He came up with the idea for a program which they supported. The university was looking for what do you call it, non-major classes that people could attend.
Yeah.
So he did the history of rock and roll.
Oh.
Beginning basically in the 50s, right?
Right.
Well, it was amazing to him. Now, these were Cypriot people in a Turkish culture, but there was also other students from all over the Middle East and Asia and some Eastern Europeans. And this wasn't true of all of them, but he was surprised when he started talking about the 50s and started talking about, well, we were really going to have a good time at the beginning. It was really great music because we were talking about Elvis.
Oh.
He said, Mark, he said, was astonished. He said, at least half the class looked at me blankly. And I said, you guys do know who Elvis was, right? They didn't know.
They didn't know who
They didn't know who Elvis Presley
was?
Now, come on. They're not part of what one would think of as Western civilization,
No.
necessarily. Middle Eastern, maybe, or something. But still, it's just the nature of the way time is. I mean, come on, in the Middle East, there's some of the oldest cultures in human civilization, at least since the last Ice Age, are from there. And people were going in there and digging in the sand and finding stuff. And now there's places where they've had droughts and the water went down and they're finding more ruins where the water covered up and everything. Time has a way of truly erasing, making things go away.
Wow.
And you forget about things. And one of my greatest discoveries, really very exciting discoveries in that topic where we're talking about.
Yeah.
I had a record by him. I have an LP of this great Polish pianist that Harold Schoenberg writes about and that you hear about in piano books and things.
Yeah.
And he basically, before Arthur Rubinstein became recognized as the great Chopin pianist, and the way he played Chopin and everything became the standard for Chopin playing, which I think was a very noble and very heroic kind of approach to Chopin. There's a guy whose name was Ignaz Friedman. Ignaz Friedman studied with Egon Petri, knew Busoni, and part of the reason we may not have heard so much about him is because he's Jewish from Poland, and he had the good sense, and he happened to be a guy traveled far and wide in his career. It was amazing. 3,500 concerts all over the planet. Fortunately for him, he was in Australia when things started to get dicey with the Nazis in Europe.
Yeah.
And he decided to stay there. So that was, I mean, he was older than Rubinstein by 20 years probably, 15 anyway. And he died in 50s or early 60s or something like that. So his back a ways. I mean, let's put it this way: he died about the time Van Cliburn won the Tchaikovsky, sometime around that period.
Okay, so
but there, as it started to come out, the last 20 years of his career and his life, he was in Australia. Australians have radio recordings, concerts, symphony performances, interviews, and all that kind of stuff. They had access to this guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, because of the wonderful time that we live in and things like Marston Records we talked about before, where they're bringing back these beautifully engineered recordings from the past, I got the complete recordings of Ignaz Friedman. And really finally got a chance to listen to the guy. I had an LP where he's on half of the LP.
Yeah.
That was some really interesting performances, but I was a little too young to really know enough.
Yeah.
But now when I listen, this guy's become absolutely one of my favorite pianists. It's a kind of playing, like I referred to before, it's like a ballet dancer. I mean, the way that he plays Chopin, and there's something about it that feels like it's almost improvisatory. It's not out of control. Right. It's not just like something like the bad things they used to say about 19th century pianists. But there's something fresh and invigorating about the way he plays repertoire, which we know very well as pianists.
Oh, yeah.
But all of a sudden you hear it and you think, wow, I never heard it like that. I never imagined it would sound like that. And, I mean, he belongs in the top part of the iceberg in terms of piano history. But nonetheless, in terms of time, I think for a lot of folks, he's under the water. And my God, that is so unfair in his case. He's somebody who should not be forgotten. So, that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're like piano and musical archaeologists, looking at the underbelly of history, and we do it with a great deal of feeling and passion ourselves.
And excitement and
Look
anticipation.
at all these books, I love learning. I love knowing about things, and discovering things. And we live in a time when it's so relatively easy.
Yeah.
So, enough.
Okay.
Let's get on with the show.
All right. So, what do we have for you today? Okay. Here's a man that we talk about quite often. Well, yeah. You'll know his name. Arkady Volodos.
No, I'd asked you. He's not on competition. How did
he's not a competition. It's a most unusual story. He entered Moscow Conservatory as a vocal major. He was a singer before.
Oh, that's right.
He was a singer, and somewhere when he was about 15 or 16, he was still, it was a requirement for musicians to study piano.
It still is.
Yeah,
you have to pass piano proficiency. Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah, and he was no exception to that rule. So he came in for his piano lesson and was playing for the teacher. And one day the teacher asked him, "Have you ever considered switching from voice to piano?"
It reminds me, there was one other pianist that I can think of like that.
Yeah.
Harold Bauer.
Yeah.
The English pianist.
Yeah.
Was a violinist.
Yeah.
And he, for his colleagues and his friends, he would play the piano, parts of sonatas and stuff when they were playing. Of course, and then he was so good at it that he decided, it was pretty late age, like 20 years old, he decided, I'm going to focus on the piano. And he had a huge career as a pianist.
Yeah.
Very serious one.
Oh, yeah.
Did a lot of editing of scores and things like that.
And arranging.
And if you can imagine, unsurprisingly, string players love to play chamber music with Harold Bauer because he intimately knew everything they were doing, struggles with the instruments, what was likely going to happen or present problems. And he came into it quite late as well.
Oh, yeah.
Even later than this guy.
Oh, yeah, much later. I mean, he was like in his 30s or something?
No, 20.
20s?
20's about that. He was playing before that, but 20's about the time that he professionally decided, no, I'm going to do the career in piano.
Wow.
But he was that good a violinist that he could have done it on violin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think I used to have a recording.
And then George Enescu, who was the great Romanian composer and famous violinist and everything. He's in one of our shows that we've done this year.
Oh, yeah,
it's up online. He was famously, if you don't know him otherwise, unbelievable composer. The symphonies, the Rhapsody Espagnole, the Romanian Rhapsody, and the sonatas for piano violin. Yeah. But he was a teacher of Yehudi Menuhin.
Yeah.
And what Menuhin says, they became very, very close. I mean, Menuhin was a little boy. He was like 12, 13, 14. And Enescu was an older guy by that time. But for all the lessons he took with Enescu, he said he'd be at the piano and be teaching from the piano. And then they'd say, well, let's try this movement. Okay, let's do it. Enescu never broke open a book.
See, that still blows me away.
Brahms sonatas, Beethoven sonatas, whatever, they were there. And he just played them. He said it was incredible. He's one of the most complete musicians he ever knew.
Yeah.
So, but this guy, Volodos, you may know him because he lives in Spain, right?
He now resides in Spain.
There's a lot of stuff up on YouTube by him.
Yeah.
He does these outrageously wild arrangements.
Yeah,
the guy has a serious Horowitzian kind of technique and approach to things.
Oh, yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyways, I don't know what year this thing is. This thing came out in 2019.
What's new?
It's all Schubert CD.
Wow.
It has the first 4 tracks is the Piano Sonata in A major, Deutsch 959.
That's the big one at the end,
959. He's also got a couple minuets. 3 minuets. Last one here is a minuet in C sharp minor, Deutsch 600.
Those are these little pieces. In the Dover collection and things, the shorter works.
These are the shorter works. But listen to his major works. He does some wonderful
Horowitz was a fabulous miniaturist.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's a test too.
Oh yeah.
You got 2 to 3 minutes to make something memorable, and some pianists can do that, and other pianists don't.
Yeah. Well, here's one that can. I mean, I've seen him perform live twice, and it just tickles the senses the way he's able to make just the smallest things mean something.
I feel like when he's playing the piano with some of these arrangements he's done, it's from the mind of somebody who could compose for instruments in the orchestra.
Yeah.
There's a sensitivity to the way he plays, all of those things, and a
Yeah.
clarity.
Oh yeah.
That has a conductor's mind in terms of bringing that stuff out. Not just playing thirds or sixths or stuff like that, but 2 different voices being played by 2 different instruments that have that clarity and color.
Yeah.
He's a remarkable guy.
Oh yeah. So, anyways, here it is. I'm going to show it to our viewers here. Maybe some of you have already seen it, but it's a very remarkable CD. It is Velotos. He's one of my favorite pianists from a different generation. Now,
How old would you say he is now?
he's probably in his 40s at this point, because he was a young man when he came out with this CD. This is his debut CD. Don't know if you've ever seen this one. His debut CD is, well, it's all transcriptions.
Yeah.
It's all transcriptions. Now, some of you may remember this CD if you were looking for new material back in 1997 when this one came out. Now, when he came out with this CD, he was in France at the time, Paris, France. And Thomas Frost was traveling, and he got word of a young man in Paris, France, a pianist, that everyone just kept saying, "You've got to hear him play, you've got to hear him play." And so an appointment was made for him to meet young Arkady Velotos at the time. And he didn't even have to walk into the house, from the story I heard. He heard him from outside the doors, and he was just absolutely astonished. Anyways, from there, from what he just heard, listening to him play inside of a house, he just took him back to the Sony studios, and the rest is just history.
Is it kind of borrow this one?
Sure, absolutely. Now, check out what's on this CD. Tell them about what's on it.
This is really rather amazing. It has the Bizet Carbon Variations, which is Horowitz's 68 version. Then he has a couple pieces of Rachmaninoff, which he himself has arranged. And then Horowitz's version of the Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2. 3 Schubert Liszt transcriptions, those are always of songs. And then he does Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee, arranged by Georgy Shifra.
Yes.
You can imagine what that's going to be like.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got 3 movements from Cinderella of Prokofiev. Those are probably Prokofiev's own reductions.
They are.
But then, interestingly, he plays a Tchaikovsky piece and a Bach piece, both arranged by Feinberg.
Yes.
And we've become very interested in him as a pianist, Samuel Feinberg. And then I've been wondering about this, what this would be like. He does the Turkish March of Mozart, which is his own arrangement.
Yes.
I can imagine how much fireworks it would be.
Oh, if you've never heard it, you're in for a real treat.
He's so young here.
Oh yeah, he's very young.
This is in his 20s.
Oh yeah. So, and he still
looks like a boy.
Yeah.
He's a man, but
yeah,
he still has a boy's face.
And he's a natural. He's a natural. Even when he sits there and performs his concert arrangements of different repertoire, I could almost. There's even videos on YouTube watching him warm up before a concert, and all he does is sit there and he improvises on the piano. I remember one particular video where he was being recorded improvising on Rhapsody in Blue. Since we've been talking about Gershwin for the last couple episodes, yeah, he was improvising Rhapsody in Blue.
Wow.
It was crazy.
I've got to listen to your
Yeah.
The one that you loaned me recently.
Oh yeah,
The Gilels.
the Galel.
I still have
Yeah.
to listen to that, but I'll listen to these two this week.
Okay.
I'll get it back to
Oh,
you.
you're in for a treat. You've.
But this sounds really fun.
Oh, it is very fun. It is very fun.
These are remarkable pieces. I mean, anything like this,
Yeah.
when you have certain pianists who just really have imagination. I mean, you have to have a hell of a technique to do.
Oh yeah, that's only the beginning.
But you have to have the imagination to really bring sparkle to it. I remember my teacher Ellsworth.
Yeah.
Between my master's and doctor, he went to New York. I think for art gallery kind of stuff. Ellsworth was really well connected with avant-garde people. He's very close friends with John Cage, Merce Cunningham, knew Rauschenberg. I mean, he knew Yoko Ono and John Lennon, all these people. Yeah. He's part of what they called the, I can't think of it right now, I'm sorry, the art movement. And he himself became an artist, making paintings and things. But as it happens, when he was there and he could get a ticket, Earl Wild played at Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
And he talked about he was astonished. But had a high regard for Wild. And then he said, but the real creme de la creme was a few arrangements that he did at the end.
Yeah.
Two of which I think were his own on George Gershwin pieces.
Yep. Songs.
One was The Man I Love, I think, and something else. But he said the really wonderful thing was that in one of the pieces, it was one of the kind of lighter, boppier songs.
Yep.
I don't remember which one he said it was, but the audience was laughing at different points during the music because it was just so delightful. That was the word he says. He said, Mark, he said, it was just so delightful the way he played and everything. It's just bubbles in the champagne and everything. It's sparkling with such clarity and perfection and just sheer joy and humor in the music, And it takes an artist like that to really bring stuff like that to life. Because otherwise, you can get somebody who tries to play stuff like that, and it just sounds like, they managed to play it, or they managed to
get all the notes
through it. Yeah, good for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a difference there.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily just due to technique, because I'm not going to mention the pianist, but I have a recording by a very famous pianist. He's older now and has a well-deserved reputation. Yeah. But they're Rachmaninoff transcriptions by Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
I won't mention who it is. I think part of the problem is the piano. We talked about this before. The piano that he's using is a really heavy, probably action and hard to play thing. It just doesn't have any of the dance and the ease and the joie de vivre, especially Rachmaninoff's own performances. The Liebesfreude, the Liebesleid, the yum ba bum dum dum da 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 dum da da dum ba 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 da yum ba bum. This comes off a little bit more like mud on your jack boots. And it's unfortunate because everything's there. It's all played. But you just kind of okay. And this guy's a good pianist. Yeah, I know. That I'm talking about. Yeah. And he has a very deserved reputation, especially late. But that just wasn't a big successful adventure. Yeah. Because he was out of his element, or the piano wasn't right, or something. Yeah. Yeah, not the best choice. Right. Well, you can play him. He has a technique to do it. Absolutely. Somehow the ear and the imagination doesn't like it. It is about the way Young Chan Lim played the Transcendental Etudes. Yeah. And famously, that moment when he was playing it, he was laughing to himself. Yeah, the Fufale. He was just turns around like... He wasn't looking at the audience. He turns away from them. He's just delighted with himself and with the playing and the music. Look what I can do. Yeah. I don't think it's like that. I think he was just absorbed with the delight of the music. Yeah. It was just, this is so fun. Yeah. Was it fun when you played it? Was it fun when I played it? Not with you breathing over my head. No, I don't mean that in a bad sense. I know. I don't mean that. I'm just playing with you. But look, I wouldn't put myself up there with somebody like this.
Yeah.
I like to play transcription stuff, and some people, but there's some of these I wouldn't do that to an audience.
What?
I wouldn't play some of the things on here because I wouldn't do them well enough. I don't think so.
Oh, Mark, don't sell yourself short. I mean, geez, I mean, you could. The Bach Feinberg you can do.
No, okay.
I've seen that.
Not the Bumblebee.
No, not the
Very
Bumblebee.
little Georgia Ship or
I
whatever.
can't do the Bumblebee.
Whatever, hang out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be leaving out quite a few notes or in corners, cutting a few corners there.
I did play.
But the Schubert list you can do.
My own version of the Carmen variations years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty good. What I did, I would say it wasn't as complicated as Horowitz's version, but they were okay. I love Godofsky arrangements. I played some things.
Oh yeah.
But it depends on what they are. Because Symphonic Metamorphoses.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, the Godofsky.
I'd probably no. I don't think I'd do it justice. Yeah. But, it's good to know where you stand because, Yeah. But I do what I do, and I'm part of that underwater part of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even Arthur Rubinstein said about Godofsky, he said it would take him, 3 to 5 lifetimes to get a mechanism like that.
Yeah.
And he says, in that kind of, dedication, it made him think. He says, here's a pianist, that he lives for wine, food, women, just enjoying life, cigars, going to concerts, and then you look at somebody like Godofsky, he says, compared himself with Godofsky, and he says, he couldn't enjoy life. He says Godofsky, he says he just seemed like he was just miserable all the time.
Well, in some cases, I mean, for example, Horowitz, since you're talking about it, he became a very disciplined person. He had that Dover soul, the fish that was floating. They had every day. Yeah. Wherever he was in the world, he had his meal, he had his rituals and the way he did things. Poached. I think that there is a point where, let's put it this way, with some people, God just whipped on them with a talon stick like nothing, like there's no end to it. Yeah. And then some of the other ones, it's a mistake to just assume, they're so fabulous. No, they work really, really hard. Because any decent concertizing pianist, it's a hard job.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a hard job getting music prepared to play it all and put it out there in front of the audience like that. And in many cases, it takes its toll on some of the most extraordinary ones. Mm-hmm. It's just, and then there are people like the original Fritz Kreisler who wrote some of those pieces. Mm-hmm. Now, some people would say, well, Fritz Kreisler was no Jascha Heifetz. But listen to Fritz Kreisler and see if there's anything to complain about.
Yeah, exactly.
I had fabulous ease with everything he did. Yeah. But when he plays his own Liebeslied, Liebesfreud, Schirm, Rosemary,
God, what a charmer.
Like that. Heavens.
What a charmer.
Total Vietnamese, Viennese, the hot chocolate with Schlagsahne, the whipped cream, the little sweet treats and stuff like that. It's perfection. It's like candy.
It's candy. It's wonderful.
And then when they do stuff like that, and it looks so effortless. Yeah. I think, well, as Rubinstein said one time, we do a 2 to 3 hour concert, and you have all these different people that come to the concert. Back when he was speaking to generation, a lot of businessmen come and they enjoy good music, but they want to relax and have a good time. Yeah. Take in some music that gives them the kind of emotional experience that they may not get from their work. Yeah. And then have some fun, entertaining things, the encores or stuff like that. And they have no idea how hard we're working up there. Because part of the act is to make it look easy.
Easy, yes. And I like what Joseph Hoffman once said. He says, the easier it looks, the more fuel you burn. Yep. That's what he says.
And he would know.
Oh, he would definitely
he was one of those extraordinary.
Yeah. And Arthur Rubinstein. I mean, I know you've read the books already, but Have you ever read the passages about how he'd bring the house to its feet whenever he played the ritual fire dance by Defia?
Yeah.
How does he describe? He says he played it with real panache
Yeah.
and brought the audience to his feet. But he didn't say anything about this.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything about this.
Yeah.
And now, folks, if some of you don't know what I'm talking about, you just have to watch the video on YouTube of Arthur Rubinstein playing Defia's ritual fire dance.
The hands go up above his shoulders,
Yes,
his head, and he's going chunk, 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 chunk. And he did it on purpose.
yes, and it was understated in his biography.
And also,
what kills me.
and this is what gets you with some of the stuff. I think what he also said, or people said about it, it's not that really complicated a transcription.
Oh,
but he makes it look very impressive.
Hey, it depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, there's a passage at the beginning of the work, and Arthur Rubinstein doesn't do this, but the bass goes boom, chunk, 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 boom, chunk, chunk, right? At the beginning.
Yeah.
Alicia De La Rocha and Julius Katchen are the only pianists I know when they go boom, chunk, 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 they include the trill on the top. I have never heard any other pianist do that. They continue the trill, which is supposed to be the lit fire going zzz, is what that is. Arthur Rubinstein doesn't do it, but Alicia De La Rocha and Julius Katchen retain the trill when they play that, and it's amazing the way they do it. You can't even hear the breaks.
You think about all the things that Rubinstein did in his career.
Yeah.
All the lovely things he did, and then as an old man in the early '60s, when he went back to Moscow and he played at the
Conservatory. Yeah.
It's like for pianists what La Scala is for opera singers in Italy. That's the temple, or what Bayreuth is for Wagner.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He plays 6 etudes of Chopin, none of which he ever recorded. And he plays the living shit out of it.
Oh yeah.
And he was an old guy. He was like 13 plus 16, 75 years
75 years old.
And yet, when he was it at the Chopin competition when he was on the jury?
Yeah.
And Maurizio Pollini
was 18.
Maurizio Pollini was 18, and Rubinstein said, afterwards he was interviewed, he said, that boy has more talent than all of us at the jury table.
Yeah. That was wild. Yeah, in his book he said that he left the competition far behind.
Yeah.
So without a doubt, he knew who was.
And of course, with stories like that, there's a wonderful one where Sviatoslav Richter was on the jury in the 58, very first Tchaikovsky competition.
Yeah.
And this was high-time Cold War stuff.
Yeah.
And they expected that a Russian was going to win anyway.
Yeah.
And they all, already figured out who it was going to be. And then Van Cliburn showed up.
Yeah.
And apparently, from what he said, Richter gave everybody else zeros and gave Van Cliburn 100 because he said, boy played better than him. Give him the prize.
But did you hear? But this, I can't remember where I saw it, but you could also read his comments about Van Cliburn's playing.
Yeah.
And some of it not very flattering. But in the end, he says, clearly a genius.
Yeah.
At the end. I thought that was funny. So, anyways, are you ready for some more show and tell?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the big one. This is the big one. We've been talking about this boy for a very long time. It is Yu Chan Lim's recording of the Chopin Etudes. It just came in yesterday. Wow. I haven't opened it. It's still in its wrapper
Where'd you
here.
get it? Amazon?
Yeah, we did. Amazon. Decca.
Wow.
This is Decca. Well, it's released by Decca. Is it supposed to be released by Decca or Deutsche Grammophon?
No, it's Decca. They signed a contract with him.
They did sign with Decca?
He signed with Decca. Yeah.
Wow. Well, here it is, folks. Let me show the
Wow,
folks.
good for you.
Here it is. I had to get it because we talk about him so much.
I wish I could pay for that CD.
I don't remember. Who cares?
Yeah.
I just saw it and I said, I gotta get it. Gotta get it. There it is. Maybe if we have time later after this recording, we could pop it in and hear some of it. So, but Yu Chan Lim, the winner of the Van Cliburn competition from last year, What a boy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We talked about that a few shows ago about
Yeah.
how few pianists really. I mean, there's quite a few, of course, doing, and a lot of those folks are on the iceberg under the water.
Yeah.
But in terms of famous historic recordings of all the Chopin etudes,
Yeah.
In terms of any other repertoire, there's far few pianists that do that.
Oh yeah.
Than the ones who record anything else. That's a special undertaking.
Oh yeah.
It's because too, they're etudes.
Oh yeah.
But these are musical pieces, and
yeah.
Chopin knew that.
Yep.
This is not like Marshallese etudes or Czerny etudes. These are real pieces, and then Liszt went on there and wrote concert etudes and things. Chopin's the first one that really turned it into an acceptable musical presentation.
Yeah.
And Bachhaus is famous for really probably the first recordings of the Opus 25. Did he do them all?
He did them all.
He did them all.
He did them all.
But those were in 78s. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Massive. I mean, it would break your arm to carry all of them at one time. And then there've been people, Polini did it. There's been various people that did it.
There's been many that have done it.
But
many.
But then there's pianists who record a buttload of others. I mean, Brendel never did it.
No, Brendel didn't do it.
Brendel never did the
Arkwright didn't do it.
Horowitz never did the etudes.
Horowitz never did.
Rubinstein famously never did them, and he recorded at least 3 famous cycles of the Chopin recordings.
Yeah.
Arkwright did.
Arkwright
did not.
Did not.
So it says something, and then of course Van Cliburn never recorded stuff.
Yeah. Now to show you the kind of work that goes into the works like this, even Joseph Hoffman once said, "There is no pianist that will be able to do those works equally well.
Mm-hmm.
Not one." He says, "I don't." He says, "I'm lucky to," and he says he would be lucky to be able to even play half a dozen well.
Yeah,
half a dozen.
Hoffman said that.
Joseph Hoffman said it.
Wow.
So somebody like him.
Well, then I feel better because when I studied with Professor Wynn, he gave me all the Opus 25 to learn and play, and I ultimately played, I think, 9 of the 12 of them.
9 of the 12.
But the Oki is that number 4?
Yeah, A minor.
And the one in sixths.
A sixth, D flat.
With D flat.
D flat.
D flat.
Yeah, that's hard to play.
I'm not sure what the other one was, but I played everything else, and I didn't like number 4 and the D flat and the one in sixths.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sixths are very awkward.
Yeah, they're awkward because you got to use 1, 4, 2, 5, and then once in a while you could cross over.
I just don't have.
Yeah.
Howard said that I have a good pianist's hand. I have a big wide spatula palm and strong fingers, but they're not exceptionally long. And I think that was part of it. That some of the stretches between the thumb and the second finger, and then maneuvering around with that was just. That doesn't mean that I couldn't work on it and play it, which I did. I had to learn all of them for Professor Wynn. Yeah. But when I finally performed them, I performed 6 of them at one time, and then all of them, cumulatively here, I did 9 of the 12. And as I've already probably said, I've said it before, some of the Opus 10s are like, nah, no. The first one, no, because the stretches are too much. And I've definitely learned, especially because of Ellsworth's influence, not to overextend the mechanism.
Yeah.
More than is really comfortable. And there's some stretches in the arpeggios of the first one, which are, they're uncomfortable for my hand. Now, then you have a pianist like Alicia Della Rocha. I don't know that she ever did that, but she played Carnival and the symphonic etudes too, I think.
Yeah. She did.
But she was just some driven little wild lady with tiny hands who just would make it happen. But
Ruslavchenska did it.
Some pieces I don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
And I just kind of figured that some of the repertoire is meant for me to do. There's definitely some Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I can't put my hands out that make it happen. Or I end up breaking stuff so much that it doesn't sound right. Where you just come down on the chords and I have to go prum,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I can't play it. So,
well,
that's
you
what
can
it
make
is.
it work breaking it.
Oh,
if you can make it work.
Another problem is Weber.
Yeah, Weber is another one.
I love those pieces, but Weber, I mean, he was playing a forte piano of sorts, and the guy was really tall, and he had Rachmaninoff hands.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, but when you put that stuff on the modern keyboard,
Yeah.
oh my God, because some of it's really zippity fast.
Oh yeah.
And he's stretching over an octave in some cases. Remember one time Rubinstein has a picture of himself under his book.
I know, where he's going out like this.
He could do a 12th.
12th, I know.
In his left hand.
Nuts.
I could do a major ninth. And
Yeah.
in a lot of keys, a minor 10th.
Yeah.
But in my right hand, major ninth. That's as far as I can get. Just
Alexander Salati, he could play an octave between faded 1 and 2. Sergei Rachmaninoff used to remark about how the octave section in the heroic polonaise, he'd figure 2, 3, 4, 5.
play almost legato that way.
Yeah.
Well, that said, keep that in mind though, because at some point we want to talk about pedagogy, and we have a little bit a few shows ago, but more constructively in more detail.
Yeah.
We want to review and look at various pedagogic methods.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Talk about these, but the one thing to just remember is there's plenty of piano music out there for all pianists.
Oh, yeah.
And all pianists don't have to play all piano music. Some of it, because if you hurt yourself, you don't play the piano anymore.
Yeah.
In some cases. Yeah. In my doctorate, I was one of 6 of us.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever said this on any of these shows. There was me and a fellow who was already a teacher from California, and he got his doctorate in 2 years and 2 summers.
Yep.
And he left, went back.
Mm-hmm.
He was a big boy,
Yeah.
big hands. I did mine in 3 years. My other colleagues, or 4 of them, took 4 to 6 years to finish doctorate. Usually the average was 5. So John and I got out of there pretty quickly. But those other 4 doctoral pianists all had piano-related injuries during their degree.
4?
Wow. They had, what's that thing people get?
Carpal tunnel?
Some carpal tunnel issues.
Yeah.
Some little things like that they had to deal with. And especially because I really feel, especially because of Ellsworth, it taught me how to really move in a very healthy way and how to use the body and all that. There's a lot of Leschetizky method in his training, in his teaching. And I was lucky. I did a lot of playing, lots of playing, and I didn't get hurt, where some of my colleagues did. And it's not worth it. It absolutely is not worth it. Yeah. If you hurt yourself, you're doing something wrong. Or you're playing something that's not meant for you to play.
Right.
Just, maybe for your own pleasure, do it. But to take it out in public with all the added stress, no, it ain't worth it.
Okay, we ready for the next?
It's like a horse in a Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
You break that ankle, with horses they.
Yeah, except for Seabiscuit.
Yeah.
Seabiscuit, they actually.
Well, he was famous.
Yeah. Okay, folks, time for PSI Goes to the Movies. And I did bring this movie here a while back, but we didn't talk about the pianists in this movie. All right, this movie is a Jack Nicholson movie called 5 Easy Pieces.
Oh.
Now, if you remember,
I have heard of that as a list of his recordings, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay, Jack Nicholson is not a pianist, but he does play a pianist in this movie.
Does he look effective at it?
Is he effective?
Is he convincing?
I'd say he is.
I bet he is.
He's very good.
He's not a method actor, but he's a really gets into his character.
Yeah, he takes his craft very serious.
I don't think he's a method actor.
I'm sorry?
He's not really a method actor.
I don't know if he's.
You know what that is, right?
I know what that is.
I don't think he's that.
Yeah, Robert De Niro is.
Yeah?
Robert De Niro is. When he did the movie
Montgomery Clift was infamously famous method actor.
Yeah.
And Hitchcock hated method actors.
Yeah.
He said you'd go up to talk to them or something like that, and they'd and because they become that person.
Character, I know.
And Hitchcock refused to deal with that.
Yeah.
Tell him I want this to happen.
Yeah. 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 No, Robert De Niro is a method actor.
I didn't know
when
that.
he did the movie Deer Hunter.
Oh God!
One
Yeah.
of his epic films. It's iconic now.
Ugh.
He spent a year in Pennsylvania as a steel worker
Wow.
to get into this role.
Is that the
1
same
year?
film with Christopher Walken?
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
the
God,
one.
that's a tough
It's
film.
heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, that's a tough film.
But the music, the cavatina,
Yeah.
beautiful piece of music. But anyways, do you remember when I brought over Harvey Keitel's movie?
Yes.
The Fingers?
Yeah.
Fingers. This is almost the same line as that, except it's a little different. But it's a little different, though.
Oh.
This one has okay, here, let me show you the movie here, folks. If you've ever seen this movie, it's actually a very good movie. 5 Easy Pieces. Here. But anyways, he does play a concert pianist, but he's not a concert pianist in this movie. Well, he is a concert pianist, but he's not behaving like a concert pianist should. He doesn't play concerts. Instead, he's a construction worker of some sort, or he just bounces from job to job, and he's like messing around with different women, and he's just he being a pianist for Jack Nicholson's character here has taken is on the back burner basically. Now in the movie, I guess his teacher, his piano teacher, and I'm not sure if they're related or not. I don't remember from watching the movie. It's been a few years since I watched this movie, but his piano teacher decides he wants to retire. He wants to have a nice, quiet retirement dinner at his home, inviting some of his favorite students, which includes Jack Nicholson, his sister as well in this movie plays. Now I'm talking about the character sister, not Jack Nicholson's sister, but the lady that plays the sister. She's invited as well, along with a bunch of other people. The issue here is that Jack Nicholson spends a lot of time trying to fool people about his emotions, how he feels about, just different things, food, music, relationships. I think it's mostly a defense mechanism for him in his character, as far as his character is concerned. But it's an excellent movie. It's one of those movies that's sort of a bit of a slice of life, like Harvey Keitel's Fingers.
I think that's one I'd like to borrow sometime. Not
Okay.
right now, but
All right, sure.
it's possible. Or we could watch it together sometime. We talk about that.
Oh
but
yeah,
never
we
do
should.
it.
We can absolutely do it. We can.
Okay.
But anyways, I want to talk about the pianists in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
What are the 5 Easy Pieces? Is that from a composer's collection?
no, it's not. They called it 5 Easy Pieces. To this day, I'm still not sure why they call it 5 Easy Pieces.
Well, it's a title that sometimes you'll see with piano compositions.
Yeah, Stravinsky wrote 5 of them too. He called it 5 Easy Pieces as well. But we don't remember.
Stravinsky's case, sometimes that's a joke.
Oh God,
I don't know them per se. But
you don't. Okay. Well, anyways, as far as 5 Easy Pieces, I don't know why they called it that. If you go look online, that is a commonly asked question, and so people will try to find out why they called it 5 Easy Pieces.
So the pieces that are actually performed?
Well, okay, there's a clip of Chopin's Fantasy in F minor. There's a clip of Bach's Partita No. 2 in C minor. And there is a clip of Chopin's E minor prelude. And that's all I recall. But you wonder, how did Jack Nicholson make the piano playing look so convincing? Remember? He took coaching from a Polish concert pianist by the name of Joseph Kolchak. And so that's how he got to get the mannerisms. I mean, of course, when you see him play the Chopin F minor Fantasy, he's up there and he's got the whole. I mean, he sits there like this, and he looks just like a pianist.
Good for him.
He looks really good doing it.
For him.
and there's a scene also as well where he plays that E minor prelude, and he sits there calmly, breathes, and starts the prelude, and he looks. But they never show his hands, but he looks very convincingly. Behaves like a pianist. Good posture. Looking down. The concentration, the focus. It looks good. Now, the real pianist, and there's only one real pianist in the soundtrack. You may or may not have heard of this pianist. Her name is Pearl Kaufman. Okay, so I have looked up her name online, and she does play a few classics. I mean, there's performance of her doing Mozart's D minor Fantasy. If anything, she's competent. At times it leans towards being almost a little generic. She doesn't do anything different. It's very.
It's another one of those little gripes I have about. Well, I don't know if any of this has ever gotten up on the shows we have online.
Yeah.
We've talked about this idea many times. Is how disappointing it usually is when they have music movies about pianists.
Yeah.
One obvious example is Data doesn't look like he plays the violin very well for an android or whatever he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when he imitates every possible violin and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mixed in a little hyphens and all this and shit. But he just plays like this. There's no even vibrato going on. You have to, what was his name? Early 19th century poet. One has to suspend one's sense of disbelief. Now, but with the pianist, sometimes, there's treble music going on, but they're down here on this side of the piano. It's they should at least be
over here.
Some of it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was thinking about recently, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, in Shrek.
In Shrek?
In the original film, when he's in his house, preparing his food all by himself and everything before all the people show up in the song. And there's that lovely cello solo.
Yeah.
They could have hired a much better cellist.
Really?
Listen to it.
So
it's okay.
Yeah.
But when I heard this solo, I just think, oh man, come on.
Was it a classical piece?
It's a nice ballad, romantic little kind of melody. It's very nice.
Oh, okay.
It's cool. I love that movie, Shrek, the first one. And the ones that followed that. But Shrek, the original movie, he was my hero. I used to have a little Shrek doll that I had on my shoulder bag that I carried all over the world.
Is your hero?
I think I still have him.
Shrek?
Sure.
Oh.
A guy living on his own out there, doing his own thing.
Mine's Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, okay. But no, it's just come on, with a big, all that money.
Yeah.
Into what became a really important enterprise, all the Shrek stuff, right? And my God, who was the guy that played the donkey?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, come on, play the donkey.
Yeah. Are we there yet?
This is a real important movie, Spend a little more money and get some better soloists, dude. It's not that it's bad, but it's relatively, it's better than decent, but it's not fabulous.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate because it makes me wince a little bit when I hear it. Frankly, I think the little playing is slightly out of tune. It's just come on.
Yeah. Well, here's something you ought to gripe about is when they don't give the actual musicians on the soundtrack any credit.
Yeah. Well, that I saw a really cool play in Tucson, Arizona years ago, where they're called Sideman.
Yeah.
You know what a Sideman is? Sideman in the jazz world was a guy that was hired to play in a band or an orchestra. And he was good at what he did. He was really good trombone, really great trumpet, great clarinet, whatever it was he had to do. And that was his career. He was a sideman in various groups.
Okay.
And it was a movie about a man who was a really good trombone player
Wow.
And with his family, being on the road all the time, problems with life and all that, and barely getting paid to get by. And spent his whole life traveling and doing these shows and everything. And his name never shows up once on any of the records he played for by really famous people.
Really?
Now, I think it was a fictionally contrived story, but based upon a person having known or done some research on a real person. And yeah, there's some amazing stuff. Like now we know his voice. His name was Max something, but the guy who plays the violin solo in Over the Rainbow and the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
He actually, the guy that played it, Maxim, is a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
Had a, I don't know, if it was Stradivarius or Guarneri or something.
Uh-huh.
A really great instrument. But he's not credited for like the violin solo in Wizard of Oz. They didn't do stuff like that. And in the old days, the music director used to be on the last page of credits. Yeah. Bakalinikoff was a common conductor for the stuff at times. They got better at it over the years. I mean, now some of these shows have credits going for 15 minutes. But most of the audience gets up and leaves and doesn't pay attention. Yeah. I'm one of those people that watches the movie to the bitter
end. Exactly.
All the credits, everything.
Exactly. That's what I do.
Just to give those people that put in all that time and talent and everything. I'm willing to wait there and try to. You can't read them all, but you try to.
Sometimes it goes too fast.
Some of them are like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah, I know.
And then on TV, when they replay stuff, they often do that to cut down the time so they can sell more advertising. Yeah, it's too bad, because I think what happened is that music was clearly an important part of film.
Oh, absolutely.
When they developed sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it wasn't just the speaking, but also I think there was a lot more music in popular culture. And it was incorporated in a way, and there was a lot of good jazz players and classical players. Hell, Arthur Rubinstein and Jose Iturbi and really great pianists played the soundtracks for stuff. Hoagy Carmick, of course, played his own music in that film with Dana Andrews, but Arthur Rubinstein's the pianist for the other stuff. Yeah. Arthur Rubinstein played the music for Katharine Hepburn's. Yeah, she plays Clara Schumann, right?
Which one?
The actress who plays Clara Schumann.
Yeah, that one is George Billette.
Song Without Words? That's Billette? Okay.
Yeah.
I think things changed. I think it's perhaps because music and culture changed, certainly in the 60s. Mm-hmm. Beat poets, beat music, hippies and all that. Yeah. And then I think special effects became more and more and more important. I mean, to be an actor in a Hollywood movie nowadays, if there's a lot of special effects involved, you just stand there and they do all this shit around you. Yeah. We'll take care of it with the CGI, Oh, yeah. It's amazing, because then I talked to Elmer, at least, I don't know if we have a film, but there's some great old movies, Gene Kelly. The American Paris and stuff like this, Singing in the Rain. Yeah. That's real people doing all that stuff. Oh, yeah. Real human beings. And Gene Kelly was a perfectionist. They worked their butts off to get it perfect. But then there's this one I remember where Fred Astaire's in it, and he has a friend who's like a vaudeville type comedic character. Yeah. And the guy's dancing on the stage. Yeah, it's Donald something. But he's having accidents. Yep. So he trips and falls over the sofa. Yep. Gets on the chair and manages just to jump off it. Yeah, it's to be a clown number from Singing in the Rain. Yes. Yes, I know. Yeah. That's a human being doing all that stuff. Yeah. That's not CGI. No, it's not. And it's with the music. It's timed. It's timed. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you a little. Read the stories about like the rehearsals that Gene Kelly went. They said while the actors were coming in the morning, getting their coffee, getting their faces put and everything, Gene was rehearsing the singers for the first half, or the dancers. Yeah. The first half of the morning. That guy was also arthritic. When he did it, he was arthritic. He mentions in an interview. I remember watching the interview. I used to have the DVD to that. In the interview, they talked about several years later after the movie came out. They're elderly, and he said that he was arthritic when he did it. And he says he kept a smile on his face the whole time, and he tried to ignore the pain and just did what he did. Yeah, I love that. They used to say. I saw a T-shirt one time. Yeah. That Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers.
Ginger Rogers.
And they said Ginger did everything Fred did backwards with a smile on her face.
And with high heels.
And in
high heels. Yeah, I saw that one.
I mean, that's
remarkable.
Admirable. So I mean, the whole film, American in Paris, Oscar Levin's in that.
Yeah.
The French singer guy.
The singer, yeah.
And Gene Kelly and his the French girl who's
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
French actress. That whole damn film from beginning to end is a tour de force of talent.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Now they're talking about AI in this day and age and everything else. We've had CGI for a while. I mean, let's put it this way. When Star Wars came out for even the first one, it's like, oh
I know.
gosh.
Yeah.
And even the first Star Trek movie, that 10 minutes they spent going through V'ger with the Enterprise going through the whole damn thing and everything. It was breathtaking. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with human activity. It's all computers, which in and of itself was creatively, artistically a fascinating thing. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, but let's put it this way. If you're spending oodles of money and you're in Southern California, USC is in Southern California, UCLA is in California, you can afford to hire a better cellist to play the solo.
Track. We go back.
I hope we don't get sued by this, but I'm sure it's come and gone. The guy's moved on, but I'm sorry, dude, but you know, enough said.
That's okay.
Enough said. But I'm glad to hear about that film. I'd like to watch it.
Absolutely. It's a very.
I love Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Everything that boy ever did, he deserves to have 3 Academy Awards.
Oh gosh.
No one's ever done that.
No one.
As far as I know.
Oh yeah.
I think he's the only one that's got 3.
Yeah.
And he could have won a lot more.
Oh yeah, and no matter how small the role is, he gets it all.
Yeah.
He gets. I mean,
what's Easy Rider?
Easy Rider.
Peter Fonda,
Peter
and the
Fonda.
other guy, and he's the
he
guy
comes
that
in
they
later.
find in the park.
Yeah.
That rides behind one of his stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing character.
Oh yeah.
He's not in the whole film.
Nope, he's not.
But wow, it's just like boom. He's right there. And there's that. And the Witches of Eastwick, God love all those ladies and everything they do, but come on.
Yeah.
The Devil.
Yeah.
He's
or Wolfman.
Wolfman.
Have you seen it, Wolfman? Yes. Oh my gosh. Now, remember the movie Few Good Men?
Yep.
He doesn't appear very much in that movie.
That's right.
But what do you remember about Few Good Men? You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Is what you remember from that movie.
Yeah. Incredible guy. Yeah. I feel always happy, you know, in the time that I'm living, to have experienced so much genius.
Oh, yeah.
In so many different areas. It's nice to live in a time where, because of what we do have technologically, plane flight, but then beyond that now, television and films and now digital streaming and all that kind of stuff. I was thinking recently regarding that, we should stop having zoos. I think we should stop doing zoos.
Especially talking like animal zoos?
Yeah. We don't need to bring them here. We don't need to take creatures from hot, wet climates. Like infamously, there was a big deal for a while. There was a zoo, I forget what it was called, in Madison, Wisconsin. 6 months of the year it's cold as ice. And it was an old zoo that was built in the teens and 20s.
Yeah.
And people were sad for the monkeys and the elephants and the lions and stuff, because in the wintertime they were kept in these old concrete enclosures and stuff that they would have like superheat in them.
Yeah.
And it was really bad that the rhesus monkeys were used by the labs at the university for. So these monkeys, bare skin and spotches of stuff missing and scabs and everything, be hanging in the trees together with their butts hanging out off the tree. The kids would go, "Mommy, what's wrong with that monkey?" It was a dreadful thing. There's a movement when I was there doing the Masters where they straightened it up. People got really upset about the conditions for them. And of course, there's some in the country which are remarkable and amazing, but still, But the kind of stuff you can see where the guys go to Africa and they film them, or go to Southeast Asia and they film them in location.
Yeah.
And you got it in what, HD or 4HD, whatever all that stuff is.
You're talking about Mutual Omaha's what they do?
Back in the day. And a lot of that stuff was staged.
Really?
Oh, a lot of those things were done like that. And some of the times when they show the animal catching other animal and stuff, that was staged, and the animal was sacrificed for the point of getting a good shot.
Really? I did not know that.
That's not natural crap, no. Because come on, lions, if you get a good meal, lions don't eat for a week or more. They got to drink water.
Yeah.
But they get a good kill, and they're pretty filled up with it, Lions spend a lot of time laying around.
Huh.
We want to watch that? No, we want to watch the lion hunt. We want to watch it kill.
Okay.
So they bring in a zebra, especially an older one, something like that. You just get him. No, there's a lot of crap that went on with the animals. So I got on a little tangent there, but
right.
I think with the access that we have to everything, it's wonderful because we can, oh my God, we have access to so much of everything. Great movies, great music, great food. I mean, here in Columbus, Ohio, you can get cuisine from so many places, and it's really real. And now, I mean, we've got different kinds of pizza. We got Detroit pizza, it's its own unique style. Chicago, of course, New York. And then, of course, we have our own style. Columbus pizza, which is with a certain kind of pepperoni, cupped old spicy pepperoni. And very thin, kind of Roman type crust.
Yeah.
And we cut it in party squares. But, I mean, there's a lot of awful pizza. But there's a lot of good pizzas, and I'm amazed in this day and age. And when I was young, growing up in Western Ohio, I never had a good glass of wine until the first time I went out to California. And then when I was a student in Germany, I had some good wine. In fact, when I was in Germany, I didn't drink beer, I drank wine. French wine, Rhone wine. It was good. You get a bottle for $3 and drink it all afternoon long and study your books and stuff.
Wow.
Now in Ohio, where all we used to have, God bless them and everything, was Logan David, like coffee with the screw top, and it's what's called Catawba wine. And it's actually a little bit more sophisticated than it used to be, and we have some vendors that are making better stuff in Ohio. Part of it always has to be, you got to grow the grapes in the right place, right, to get the good stuff. But if we don't do that, then we import it. Now we got whatever we want here. You get amazing seafood, fresh from the sea. We're willing to pay for it. So we live in a fabulous time where we can have access to it. So much talent and genius and experiences. It's almost too much to take in.
Yeah, it is.
I taught my students an important lesson about that when I was a professor in Cyprus. They come into my office, I was, sir, I'm bored.
Oh, gosh!
Wrong answer! Did you practice today? Whatever that means. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, why don't you look up this subject and write me a 2-page paper about it? What? Are you serious, sir? I said, damn right, I'm serious. Is this going to affect my grade? It will now.
Oh, God!
This lasted about 2 or 3 weeks, and then no one ever said that to me ever again. But then, the kid said, I actually learned something. That was, interesting. But it was this thing where kids would come in, because it was office hour time to talk to a Western person. And, shoot the shit, so to speak.
Right.
But I get them with that. Oh, I'm so bored, sir. And I just would tell my students, I said, the New York Public Library, the Boston Library, the Hermitage in Russia, the Louvre in Paris, and the Uffizi in Italy. They all have their paintings digitally uploaded onto the web.
Yeah.
You can go there and you can see a whole screen version and then look at it close up and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes as time went on, you can see it 360 and stuff like that.
Exactly.
You can see David in 360,
Yeah.
And then the screens got bigger and you can see even more detail. And I remember the first time my students ever introduced me to YouTube. Because I had this huge music library that I brought with me, and I bought even more stuff. So I have all the works of Bach, all the works of Haydn, all the works of Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms. I bought them because I thought primarily my students should have access to stuff they wanted, because the library in and of itself, the university, it was that kind of place.
Yeah.
But I had lots of stuff that my students could come and borrow. And I said, Tom was the history teacher. He's got, won't you listen to this or that? You can come and borrow it from me, and then I know you guys are going to make pirated copies so you can spread around. Listen, that's okay for within the academic scene, because they didn't have access to buy this stuff or get it readily themselves. But then eventually I noticed that they weren't coming, but they were doing pretty well on the listing lists. And I thought, how are they doing that there? And where are they getting the recordings from? Where did you get a recording of this symphony by Goretzky?
Yeah.
Well, we listened to it on YouTube. Well, what's YouTube? And so 3 of them came in, and they showed me how to get on it and everything. That night, after they were all gone and everybody's gone, I didn't even practice that night. From about 8 until 1 in the morning for 5 hours. I just looked stuff up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was crying, because I just thought, this is so astonishing. The only way you could get this in the past was if you could afford to buy the special tapes from Arte or the German Klassik or whatever it was stuff, to find these recordings and stuff. I was watching Henrik Schering, one of my favorite violinists, playing the Brahms Violin Concerto in 1950-something with the Paris Symphony, performing it live on TV with Bruno Walter conducting the orchestra. And it was right there on the computer, because the French had recorded it when it was on TV.
Yeah.
And I thought, I wonder if they've got this or that, and then people had uploaded old 78 recordings. And things like that. I wonder if they got this person. It's just like, all of a sudden I live in Berlin or New York. Where if you have the wherewithal, damn it, you can find it.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing preventing you from coming into contact with this one way or another. Yeah. When you're in a city like that. You and I grew up in Western Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
We had Camelot Records.
Yeah.
Well, thank God. I had access to that. We hear some things on the radio and stuff.
Yeah, public libraries.
In public libraries, you go get stuff and, play it for yourself, learn it, this and that. But we didn't grow up in a big city environment. And, it wasn't until we got older. But now, you can be in New York, or you could be in St. Petersburg, you could be in London, anywhere in the world. Yeah. That got me going. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But if you're bored, folks, come on. You're the reason that you're bored. It's not because the world is boring.
You become piano geeks like us.
Yeah.
So
that has its own dangers.
Oh yeah, it does have its own dangers.
We look at my books and my collection and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm paying my bills. I got my life paid for, I got the heat paid for, and I got the rent paid for, and all that. But I'm a collector. I love books and a lot of subjects, and I love recordings too, more specifically. But that's what I spend my money on. Mm-hmm. And then there are things on my wish lists, which if I ever got a trust fund or something, then I'd be happy to spend it on that. Go ahead. He's very patient with me.
That's okay. Big roll. All right. Now this, I forgot I had this. I found this in my car. It was under one of the seats. You remember this? The one with the lectures?
Yeah.
Robert Greenberg?
Oh, the great courses.
Yeah, the great courses.
This is on what they call now Wondrium.
Yes.
I used to have it before that. It was called Wisdom or Great Class or something like that. There are lectures by professors all over the place. And video lectures.
Yeah, this one's Professor Robert Greenberg. The ones I showed
the Brahms.
Yeah, it was the Brahms I loaned you. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't even know I had this until I was cleaning my car. This one's Mahler.
Oh my God!
Look how thick that is.
And are they Discs?
Yep, they're CDs.
Oh my gosh. And it's all about Mahler. It'd have to be something this big
Yeah,
when we start to do Mahler.
yeah.
Wow.
I was doing this when I was cleaning my car yesterday.
This guy was at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music.
Yeah.
They called this back today the teaching company.
Yeah.
You should show them that.
Okay.
This is cool stuff.
Yeah, I just started listening
And
to
you know,
it.
this kind of stuff, if you find it in the bookstores,
Yeah.
half price or libraries, get rid of it, you get this stuff for dirt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They probably take some mulch in exchange for it.
Oh yeah. Or
It's worth a lot more.
it probably
But nobody's
is.
borrowing it. Nobody's listening to it.
Yeah, and I must have purchased it last year because I found this in my car yesterday, cleaning up my car. Mahler.
Wow.
Yeah.
I listened to some of the Brahms, but not all of it. That's really good stuff. During COVID,
Yeah.
that was the year that I had a subscription. It was $10 a month.
Yeah.
And I got into a lot of wonderful lectures.
Yeah.
And it's just $10 a month. And it's like being able to go to university and listen to a professor talk about a subject for lesson after lesson after lesson.
Yeah.
I was really interested in one that a guy did from, I forget where he was, but it was all in the history of secret societies,
Oh.
going all the way back into the ancient days with, what's his name? The Greek who's famous for the triangle. Square of the hypotenuse is equal to the
Pythagoras?
Pythagoras, the Pythagorean school.
Yeah.
But even going farther back into the Egyptian mystery schools,
Yeah.
things like that. Coming all the way to the present day with, of course, the Masons and Rosicrucians, and then 19th century adaptations, and even 20th century stuff, including Manly Hall and all kinds of stuff. It was fascinating.
I'm sure.
And it's cool because you could print out the lessons, and there's a lot more information in the writing,
Wow.
even than the talking. It was like going to a college class,
Ooh.
and there's an incredible amount of offerings. They call it Wondrium. I'll put that up on the thing, WONDRIUM. And there's just oodles of subject. I mean, it could be like, if you want to study cooking classes, like not necessarily Jewish childhood, but things like that.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do travel shows. But then there's also serious academic and scholarly kind of subjects like religion and subcategories, Asian religion and history and languages. It's amazing. You know, you won't get any credit for it probably, but you could go to school. And I think it's still, maybe it's gone up now, maybe to 15 or something.
Yeah.
But my gosh. And that's for a whole library of possibilities. Yeah. Good for you. This guy likes to listen to serious music and lectures and stuff when he's driving in his car, going to teach lessons.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we haven't done this in a while, but we haven't looked at scores. But, well, actually we did. I couldn't help notice that you have the copy of the Gershwin of Second Rhapsody.
Yeah.
You've been doodling with it?
I looked at it. Yeah.
Wow.
That was yours.
Yeah.
You gave it to me?
I gave it to you. It's yours.
Yeah. I did look it over, yeah.
Oh, cool. What'd you think?
I think it's cool. I love some of the motoric kind of stuff that we were talking about, the jackhammer and
Yep.
banging on steel kind of stuff.
Yep, absolutely. You know what, I was wondering to ask you, in all your accompanying that you did you ever accompany anybody's songs?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, it's wonderful. It has to be a special singer that can really carry it off. And then you have to play the piano like it's an orchestra. The reductions, actually, you better know the actual orchestral score so that you know the instruments that are playing and things like that.
Yeah.
There's an elasticity necessary in the playing to make it as effective as possible. I did the Kindertoten Lieder and what's the other set with Mezzo at the Mahler Festival chamber playing. And we also did some of the cabaret songs of Arnold Schoenberg, which are wonderful, really cool pieces. But Mahler's is a special thing to pull off on the piano. And then, there's really cool, just on the side, There's recordings of him playing his own music,
his music.
on Veltman recordings.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. He's playing that himself on the piano.
Well, according to
Mahler is one of those, I would say, like we talked about Bach, is just infinitely flexible.
Oh yeah.
You can do anything to it on any instruments, and it has an integrity about it that just works, regardless of the setting. Even like when it's in jazz settings, or when Yuri, what's his name, who plays the accordion, very serious compositional stuff. But he'll play Bach with this kind of small little ensemble.
Yeah.
Yuri, I can't think of his last name, started with G. Jewish guy, but I have a wonderful Wagner album where they do Wagner in Venice. And they play this stuff. It's incredible. Bach works better. Mahler is one of those composers where, yeah, you know, as need be, you can do things on the piano.
Okay, now when you did the Kinder
Totally, yeah.
you said it was for
Songs on the Death of Children.
voice and orchestra.
Originally, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's originally that way, but they're orchestrated, yeah.
They did, okay. Did you ever feel like you had to, like, edit or, you know, cut a few corners like you would, like, some of the Italian operas?
No.
Or could you...
The reductions are perfectly playable.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they're fine. But it's more the imagination that you need to infuse into the music.
Okay.
To make it feel right, the way that you would expect it to go. Because the way that the voice works, I mean, Mahler's vocal style and singing is akin to what Wagner did with the voice, the way he changed it. One of the hardest ones to accompany are reductions of Berlioz.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We did
for voice
like
and
that.
piano.
Yeah.
I found those the most difficult to convincingly pull off on the piano. Because his stuff is interesting, you know. So many songs, like I can remember the song begins in the piano on a 6/3 chord, not a tonic, primary, but it begins on a 6/3 chord and kind of moves up like that. But of course, it works because it's almost like you're opening the door into something and you come into it, and it's spontaneous in a moment. I did this with Kit Reuter Foss. She was a mezzo years ago, Madison. She sang to Matt. She sang in Parsifal.
Wow.
She was one of the Grail people. She didn't sing country. But, yeah, I remember that. Whenever they bring me Berlioz, I say, oh boy, I got my work cut out for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not that it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I played some Spanish stuff with a wonderful mezzo, Emily Bullock. We did the Torina, and I don't remember some of the other composers. There's a whole recital she did in her doctorate of Spanish music. And this was some serious Granados, Albanese, kind of like, and even wilder than that. We sang some Defia songs too, I think.
Oh, Defia, yeah.
Wonderful
concepts
and real virtuoso playing of that. Now, with the Mahler and the Berlioz, it has more to do with imagination. If that's what it takes. Like we were talking earlier about the virtuoso arrangements.
Yeah.
It takes, otherwise it falls a little flat.
Exactly.
But why'd you ask about that?
Well, I wanted to know because it's Mahler, you know, and he, according to Robert Greenberg, he could have had a piano virtuoso career if he wanted.
One of his early pieces is a piano quartet. In A minor, I played it.
You played it?
Yeah, it's not akin to Brahms or Schumann or anything like that. It was a student composition.
Okay.
But he played it. You know, as you would expect any composer at that time.
Yeah.
Worth a grain of salt yet by piano. Wow. They all did. But I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great conductors who started out like Bruno Walter was a pianist.
Yeah.
And he ended up, doing some song cycles with Lotte Lehmann, for example.
Yeah.
I have those on recording, both LP and CD. He was a really fine pianist. Yeah. And I do think, it used to be, especially in the German tradition, Germany had kind of a certain rigorous setup so that people who eventually were going to go into conducting, they came by way of the opera houses. And the way they got into the opera houses was as pianists, accompanying the singers and coaching them, getting prepared and stuff. This is exactly what Bruno Walter did in Hamburg. Mm-hmm. So he started out that way, and then, you know, if you're interested in conducting and you show proclivity for it,
yeah.
I think you might have a little talent there. You get a Saturday matinee thing, an afternoon concert kind of thing, and you'd be there and direct and do all this kind of stuff. And then, you know, it'd start to pick up, and then they put you in the pit for the real thing. Great tradition in Germany is that you cut your teeth with orchestras, with opera, through your 30s. You didn't get your hands on a symphony orchestra until you were 40. Huh. You know, you had to learn how to sing, how to work with the human voice in order to really get musicians to play like singers. And that's exactly what Bruno Walter did. Wow. He cut his teeth for a while in the opera world and then worked his way into becoming a great symphony conductor. I don't know that all countries would do it that way, but Alessandro kind of did. Siciliani here in Columbus. He graduated from Santa Cecilia, the Academy in Bologna, and or Rome, I'm not sure where it is. Yeah. Maybe it's in Rome. And then he went to the Giuseppe Verdi Conservatory in Milan. Wow. And he was a pianist. The story he used to tell was when he was 15, something like that. He came home from school, and he said he got home, and his mom, he came in, and it was in the kitchen. Shh, be quiet. And you could hear all this ruckus going on in the living room. And they had the doors that opened up, and he opened the doors, and he said it was like a pool hall. He said it was thick with cigarette smoke.
Oh, God.
He said you could barely see onto the other end of the room. And he said, and there was his father, who was a very adept pianist, and who was famously for about a decade the director of the La Scala opera. Jeez. Not the music, but the artistic, the administrative director.
Okay.
But he himself could play piano and this and that, quite an adept musician. And ultimately, he was the director of 8 different opera, big ones, Palermo and various places in his career. That was Alessandro's dad. And in there with his dad was Leonard Bernstein. And they were working on getting an opera going that Bernstein was going to conduct at La Scala. And he came in and his dad says, "Oh, here's my son, Alessandro. He's studying at Santa Cecilia and he's, plays the piano and studying composition and all that." And Bernstein said, "Great, that's wonderful, we're really happy to meet you. Now, we can use you. Here, come over here to the piano." Yeah. And he put down, I forget what opera it was. Never seen it before, his sight reading. But can you imagine that 15 years old? Then his dad and Bernstein were both singing and acting and kind of imagining and envisioning how it was all going to go. And, arguing tempi and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And Alessandro was playing the orchestra reduction all to be damned as best he could.
Wow.
And he never had any intentions to be a pianist, but eventually he got into conducting. And similarly, I mean, he made his first fame, especially here in the States, conducting opera in New York, Philadelphia, and places. And then he was taken up by the Columbus Symphony in 91 or something like that, I think. Was there for 13 years till around 2004 or 5. And he stayed here. And then he was the director of OPC for 11 years, the opera company. Wow. And now maybe he'll get to go back. Huh. He's had some health issues, so bad with his back. For a couple of years, he had to have 3 surgeries, I think. Jeez. But yeah, that's the way it used to be. Wow. And things change. I mean, Michael Tilson-Thomas was a good pianist.
Oh yeah, Michael Tilson.
But I remember back in the days when I was watching PBS in the 70s, when he won some kind of competition on the PBS show.
Oh yeah,
wow. He was like 20-something, 28. Yeah. And I remember him. Looks like such a goofy guy.
Yeah, he was.
Big, tall guy with almost a caricature-ish face, I thought.
Well, one of Bernstein's proteges, wasn't he?
Yeah. And my God, the career he's had. Yeah. And I love the man so much just for his strength. You know, he's had brain cancer.
Yeah.
And he managed to work his way through that. People thought he was going to die
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, and he managed, to come through it, and he's returned to conducting big stuff.
Oh,
He was in San Francisco and did some big Mahler
holy crap.
symphonies and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So you got me rolling here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay. Now we get to scores. I have scores for you. Once again, cleaning up the archives back at my house. And what do I find at the bottom of the pile? Con intissimo sentimento. A collection of 7 pieces for solo piano by Marc-Andre Hamelin.
No way.
Yep,
His own music.
his own music. Now,
And he's got a recording of it.
yes, the CD's right in there.
Wow. This is a Japanese
Edition,
publication.
yeah. So now, if you read the foreword or whatever, the preface, I guess he, most of his work is very, very advanced. You would need a super virtuoso to play a lot of his solo works. There is a YouTube video of him performing one of his most difficult works where he comes out to play an encore and he says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to commit suicide. And so basically he says he's going to play this etude that he just composed that combines 3 Chopin etudes. The 3 Chopin etudes are the Winter Wind etude and the A minor etude from Opus 25, number 4, that goes boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck,
Yeah.
and the A minor etude from Opus 10, that has the chromatic
Right.
runs.
Number
And-
2.
Number 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, so he composes work that combines all 3 etudes, and he's sitting there and he plays to it, and it really is a remarkable feat that he actually composed this and got it all to work out. And it sounds like the Winter Wind etude, the boom chuck, almost Paganini-esque type etude, and the Opus 10 number 2. It's quite remarkable. But he got through it. He actually got through it. Anyways, these pieces, he says he composed so that, the ones that didn't have quite the technique to do the super virtuoso work, these are more, I guess, the lyrical side of him, I guess. So they're much more palpable for recital pieces for those who are not, super virtuosos.
Okay, and have you tried them?
I've dabbled with it.
So I can tell you, we were talking earlier about certain music that.
Yeah.
So there's one here called Album Leaf, and the very first chord in the right hand is an F below middle C, and then 2 and 3 on D and E flat, and the G. I couldn't do it. I'd have to roll it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. But this happens sufficiently, and it's Marc Staccato. It wouldn't be appropriate to do it.
You couldn't do it with 2 hands?
Can't. The left hand's busy doing other things.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he's got another one, which is Mark Allegretto Moderato. In and of itself, it's not so bad. But here he has, oh Lord. Now it is rolled. I get that. But it starts out F 2 octaves above middle C. So it goes F, B flat, E flat, A. It's a 12.
Wow.
No, 10. It's a 10. But there's several like that. See that right there?
Oh, crap. Look at the left hand.
And the left hand as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're interesting. It looks kind of interesting, but it never, I can understand now maybe why He makes such easy work of some of those Godowski pieces.
Yeah.
Mark Hydra Hamlin has a big, big expanse. Yeah, I probably wouldn't play those pieces. Some of them I could. The Lindlers at the beginning look playable.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff is. And I do have enough work that I'm doing. I mean, I play every week at the church and all that.
Yeah.
I can't afford to have an accident. You know, I don't play, I don't get paid. I mean, to some extent they would, for a little while, but
Yeah.
long-term injury means I wouldn't get paid.
Yeah, the Lendler doesn't look so bad. Break some chords.
But good for you. I had no idea.
Okay, you ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this one you may or may not have heard of. This is a composer, pianist by the name of Vyacheslav Gryachnov.
Not Grichanov, right?
Gryachnov.
No.
No.
Gryachnov?
Yeah. Some of you may have heard of him. Vyacheslav Gryachnov.
It's Polish.
He's in Moscow Conservatory now.
But the name usually like that, I think it's a Polish.
Polish? Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's his piano transcriptions of works by Glinka, Borodin, Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, Mahler, and Debussy.
Wow.
So
He teaches at the conservatory?
well, I think he's at least a teacher's assistant, at least.
Oh.
Have you heard of him?
No.
Okay, he's probably in his mid-30s at this point.
Usually that kind of name, Vyacheslav.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Gryachnov, he could be Russian.
Could be Russian.
But he could have had Slavic. Russians are Slavs, but
Yeah.
he sounds not truly Polish, but not
Yeah.
far away from it. You see what's he do?
But anyways, his name just popped up on the menu one day when I was looking through YouTube. And I was just curious because he had on YouTube a video recording of his transcription of the polka by Rachmaninoff, the D minor polka, which is usually a work for piano four hands. If you look for the Rachmaninoff recording, he and his wife play it. So, but anyways, he transcribed it for solo piano. Even much more popular than that is his transcription of the third part of Daphnis and Chloe by Ravel for piano for two pianos, four hands. So he's done a lot of work, considering as far as being a transcriber. He actually has two videos of the Ravel with two different pianists. So it's quite interesting. Anyways, I got interested after listening to his video of the Rachmaninoff's polka, watching him do performances of his transcription of the Daphnis and Chloe by Ravel. Eventually I wanted to see him in recital. And so at the Moscow Conservatory, he was still a young man when he performed all 24 Chopin etudes. So he got up there and played one after the other. And for his encore, he played Bach's Prelude in C major at the end, which was interesting. So, but his name's popped up quite a bit. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, he's also performed later on, which he considers his most grueling work that he's ever had to, as far as practicing goes. He performed Bach's Art of the Fugue in a recital.
Wow.
And he says he's not sure if he could ever do that again. He says it was so much work. He says it was much more work than doing Chopin etudes.
Jesus. Did you buy this at Stanford?
I bought that at Stanton's.
Say full price.
Full price.
Wow.
I paid full price for that.
I wasn't listening all the time you were talking. Have you played some? Right.
No, I have not.
This is some serious.
I did some board. I played some of the board
You
games.
can see the Russian school, especially Rachmaninoff's
Oh yeah,
tendencies and transcriptions and things in it. But
yeah.
this is some good stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got a solo version of Prelude on the Afternoon of the Fawn
Yeah.
of Debussy. Serious, man. He's got the Adagietto of Mahler.
Yeah. For
Fifth
left hand only. Did
Symphony.
you read it? So
Some nice stuff. I like to look at his vocals. I have a solo version of the vocals. That was one of the pieces that Earl Wild played as a encore that Ellsworth heard in New York.
It's a remarkable work.
And it's his own arrangement.
Yeah, it is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Those look to me like they would be worthwhile.
Oh yeah.
And I don't necessarily see anything. Well, there's maybe one or two spots, but I think I can get away with breaking it.
Oh yeah.
But I think anything in there that I was looking through, I could maybe give it a shot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dedicated to my lovely wife, Julia.
Grajno.
Yes.
I'll look him up.
Okay. Yeah, he's quite a pianist. There's even a video of him. Let's see. Practicing. There's actually a video. I mean, it's a long video. All he taught, what he does is he practices one of the Rachmaninoff preludes, and he just and through the time he's practicing, he's talking about some of the pitfalls, and he says, "Oh, that fingering doesn't seem right.
What does he look
do
like?
it this way." What does he look like? He's
age-wise.
he looks like he's in his 30s.
Does he have facial hair?
No facial hair, clean cut, brown hair.
Good shape.
Oh yeah, he's in very good shape. He's not overweight or anything.
Have you ever seen the video? I thought maybe I sent it to you. A YouTube thing about a guy who was demonstrating. Well, I don't remember particularly, but he's imitating certain ways that Horowitz played.
Yeah,
The piano.
yeah, you did.
That's not the same guy.
It's not the same guy. I know who you're talking about. He's that Russian dude.
He teaches online,
Yeah,
and he does these videos. He's really quite impressive.
yeah,
He seems to have a very solid sense of recognizing and being able to demonstrate different kinds of ways to play on the piano.
yeah,
Because he was looking at how a few famous pianists played, rather notoriously.
yeah.
And he was describing how Horowitz probably achieved it.
I watched that video like 5 times.
And then there's that guy that's at Indiana. Is he Japanese American or something? Is it Kimura?
John Kimura Parker.
There's a pianist. He's a
There's
professor.
Nakamatsu is Japanese American.
But he did an interesting one. I'm pretty sure he's based in Indiana. He was also demonstrating how very different pianists played the piano.
Oh yeah.
He was imitating them. And
Right.
it was quite impressive the way he looked when he was playing and the way it sounded.
Yeah.
He imitated Rao, he imitated Horowitz, he imitated Rubinstein.
Wow.
He imitates these different people.
He can do Rubinstein.
It was very impressive. Because the mannerisms, it's interesting because Ellsworth always thought this too. There's a direct relationship between the physical gesture. Of course, you have initially the idea of the sound that you want. Germans say Klang ideal, the ideal sound that you're trying to create. And there, if your vocabulary is sophisticated enough, there's a gesture that will achieve that. And that gesture will give you the sound that you want. Well, in that video I'm thinking about, it's very interesting because when he does some of those pianists where I really do recognize the sound and the way they look when they play, that really does sound like Rubinstein. That really does sound like Horowitz, what he's doing. Which is an interesting thing because maybe there's more to that relationship between the movement, the tone, and the sound that they make than some people might really understand or give credit for. And what Ellsworth was really into, and I learned that with him, he said I was fortunate because I'd already learned the figures and stuff, and really good scales from Professor Wynn and stuff like that. Howard was probably one of the first ones to open me up to a more objective perspective of what I'm doing at the keyboard and how it sounds. And he's from a very Russian school. He studied with Rosina and me. And then Ellsworth was the one who was introducing me much to this idea of developing a repertoire of physical, technical approaches and articulations and things like that, and you draw on those in order to create the ideal moment in the music that you want to make. That there's a real marriage between that idea that you have for the sound and the way that it's produced. There's a definite solution. It's not accidental or you have to work it out. This has already been worked out because pianists have already worked it out.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, you ready for the reveal?
Yes.
Okay. You've been patiently waiting. We've been, I sent everybody, well, I stated an assignment for our viewers. I called it Recasting the Castaways. And if some of you have watched Gilligan's Island, you will probably appreciate this assignment. So the assignment was to recast the castaways of Gilligan's Island. You would pick a composer or a pianist to play the roles of each character in Gilligan's Island, the Castaways. So, do you remember how the song goes? All right, fast forward to the part where they introduce the characters. It started off with Gilligan. Okay, Gilligan. We'll start with Gilligan. Okay, so the nominees for me are... All right, the nominees for me are... Well, I started off with some of the obvious, some of them less obvious. Okay.
Maybe, can you, before you say who it is, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words, what characterizes Gilligan? What makes Gilligan Gilligan?
Okay, all right. Gilligan, he's awkward. He's a bit of a teenager, but he's in those teenage years, male, and he's still trying to find himself in what his real role is going to be when he gets older. But he doesn't think about that right now. He's in the show. All he thinks about is just doing what he's told. Okay, he's the first mate of the skipper.
And God love him, many times he makes mistakes. Or he does stupid things.
Yeah.
But he's trying to figure stuff out and do the best he can with the best intentions.
Yeah. And he wants to please. He really wants to be useful. He doesn't want to get in trouble, but he does. He just manages to.
So who's going to be that person?
Okay, I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nominees for Gilligan. All right, the first one I'll mention. Long Long.
Not one of my favorite artists.
Not one of my favorite. Okay. The other one is.
I mean, it's kind of like a Chinese Liberace.
Okay.
Kind of thought. And Liberace's a great artist.
Oh yeah.
And Long Long could really play, but he went towards the glitz and entertainment and flash in the pan kind of stuff. I just never took him seriously as a real pianist. Like he's in a video when there's like 8 of them playing the piano.
Yeah, I remember that.
Her festival in
Ravenia?
Switzerland. No, in Switzerland.
Oh,
The
Switzerland.
one that Martha Argerich runs.
Yeah.
Starts with a V.
Oh, Verbier?
Verbier? Instead of Verbier.
Verbier?
I have to try to say it. You have Katie Kissin is there.
Yeah.
Long Long's playing.
There.
There's 4 pianos and 2 pianists at each one playing 4 hand parts.
Yeah.
Long Long is by far the most demonstrative and ridiculous. James Levine is playing in Long Long.
Wow.
Very focused. I remember him. I forget who they all are. You have Katie Kissin. Wow. And then Long Long's has nothing to do with Asian people. I mean,
Right.
I love you and Chan. I love Yuja. but sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. Long. Okay. The next one I wrote down here, you've already mentioned, Evgeny Kissin.
Yeah. But I don't think, well, I wouldn't agree with you with that.
You would?
No, he's a very polished, serious kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a polished, serious guy, but I couldn't help get out of my mind.
Well, younger, the hair and the look and everything. He looked a little goofy, but apparently thought he was quite a catch.
Yeah.
At the parties after the concerts.
Oh yeah, but you did.
Rather notorious.
Did you see the interview? The wallpaper interview?
No.
Oh, there. He talks about. He's asked some questions. I mean, they're less serious. You get to see the less serious side of it.
Right.
He's asked his favorite food, his favorite.
What was his favorite food?
I can't remember what his favorite food is, but he was also asked what was his favorite swear word.
Oh. Are you allowed to say it on film?
I can't say it. It's
Okay.
bad.
All
it's
right.
really bad.
Okay.
And he talks about what his favorite part of the,
Anatomy.
not the favorite part, of doing a concert. He says,
Oh.
He says, I like the receptions because I get to meet all the women. He says.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you go.
A real dude. So that's why I picked, Gilligan Kissin because of the interview, because it was so lighthearted and it was not serious.
Yeah.
So. All right, the next one. Oscar Levant.
He can do it.
Because he's comedian.
Yeah,
He
he can do
he's
it.
comedian. Okay.
I mean, I think of him very young. Oscar Levant even seemed to be like an old codger even when he was young.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
was part of the character to play.
Yeah.
And as he got older, my God, between the cigarettes and probably just behaving that way, he also had issues because he and Judy Garland infamously used to have drug problems.
Together?
No, but they both, he talks in his book, and they used to even sometimes mention it when they were together. I mean, Judy Garland was destroyed by the film industry with, you gotta lose weight, you gotta do this, you gotta not sleep because we need to work so hard, you gotta go to sleep when you get to sleep, and all this stuff. She was seriously addicted to drugs.
Wow.
There's some film biographies. They did one lady, Australian actress maybe or something, magnificent film. Tragic. Yeah, tragic.
Wow.
And what's her face? Her daughter, famously.
Liza Minnelli.
She talked about her mom. Yeah. She's a good mom. She really tried to be good with her kids and do stuff, but she was a real life battle with drugs. It's what killed her, eventually. And Oscar Levant talks about the same thing, but he made more lighthearted jokes about it. Uppers and downers and different kind of things. Plus, I think they were both manic depressive.
Wow.
Yeah. But he could do a Gilligan. You could see him doing a Gilligan.
Yeah.
But it would be a different Gilligan with that
Oh,
cigarette.
Yeah, cigarette. Exactly.
A much less respectful Gilligan.
Yeah. So anyway, we've had Lang, Evgeny Kissin, Oscar Levant, John Bayliss.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know John Bayliss? Okay.
Do you know John Bailey?
Bayliss, Bayliss. Some of you may have heard of him. He made his debut. I can't remember. I think it was the Pro Arty recording label. There's actually a recording label called. Remember? Okay.
Yep.
But he did the album where it was called The Beatles Meet Bach.
Mm.
And he took Beatles themes
Uh-huh.
and performed in the style of Bach on the piano.
Mm. No, I don't know that.
You've never heard of it? But anyways, his claim to fame is doing improvisations, basically. He did a whole album of that, and he also did an album of songs and themes from West Side Story.
So he's an American.
Yeah, he's an American. He studied with Dr Marc. So he was in Juilliard for a while. So, anyways, if you've seen his covers, he looks, he's always got he's got this bright red hair. It's like curly, and he's sort of, he's a real white dude. Put it that way, okay. And he's always got this big smile. And he's like, he's like a kid.
King of the Hill with Bobby's favorite performer is this guy called Carrot Top or something like that, who plays the guitar with pickles.
Yeah?
You have to know the show, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there we have 4. And here's my favorite one.
Oh.
Dudley Moore.
Oh, of course. Dudley Moore was a genius.
Yes, he was.
Explosive career, and actually he was really big in England before he even was discovered in America, and then became a Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
Of course, he did the film Arthur.
Yeah.
Sadly, in that film, as I learned about him, there's a lot of autobiography in that character.
Oh, yeah?
In Arthur.
I didn't know that.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure he got accustomed to the fame. He was super famous for a while. Wasn't he a 10 as well?
10? Yes.
With
Bo Derek.
He's the guy.
Julie Andrews.
Yeah.
Was in there too.
Dudley Moore, well, and I remember Dad and I seeing him on the Johnny Carson show when he was first coming over and getting to be noticed. And he did all this. He played shit out of the piano.
Oh.
He was more wild. He was more Robin Williams-esque.
Yeah.
Than in the style of what Victor Borge would do. Kind of comedy at the piano and stuff like that. But really out there, some really nutty English stuff like Monty Python.
Oh,
craziness.
yeah.
And he was involved, I think, in a trio of comedians. And he'd been doing that for a while.
Wow.
And somehow he got picked up. My guess is through Julie Andrews and her husband. Maybe. That he might have discovered, brought over. Something like that. Perfect. Yeah, he would do a great Gilligan. He was Gilligan.
Yeah, he basically...
He's like the Gilligan of classical pianists.
Yeah.
Although I think Long Long is a strong second. Only because I really don't respect the pianists. Let's leave that one alone.
Okay.
I remember people were so gung ho about Long Long. It was when I was in Cyprus and the chair of the department said, "Have you heard Long Long?" She was always into the newest and hottest performers.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Ignaz Friedman?
Oh, God.
And she was always into these people, and I listened to some of them. But, he always played the Bugs Bunny repertoire.
Yeah.
Campanella.
But he's capable of more, is the funny thing is.
Well, I never maybe gave him enough of a chance.
Yeah.
Because I judged that book rather quickly by the cover.
Yeah.
As I got it. And what's happened? Is he still play stuff?
His last recording with Deutsche Grammophon was the Saint-Saëns #2, coupled with Carnival of the Animals, which he performed with his wife and the orchestra. And it didn't do well. The critics really, our buddy Hurwitz, David Hurwitz, really did not like that album.
Well, to be honest, I thought with some of this stuff, let's put it this way, he doesn't come close to the depth of flavor that you would get with Yun Chun Lim.
Oh, yeah.
When he played the Liszt stuff, I heard, I thought, this is what everybody thinks Liszt should go.
Yeah.
And it was almost caricaturish, I thought, and diminishes Liszt. I think Liszt is a great composer.
Oh, absolutely.
And historically one of the most important figures in the 19th century. Wagner probably would not have been Wagner without Liszt's influence, compositionally. Mm-hmm. He actually, in the famous Richard Burton film, with the Parsifal music, especially the Grail bells and some things like that. And I stole that from Liszt.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff you could have.
Yeah.
The Evening Song from Tannhauser.
The harmonies and things that Liszt created is stuff somehow that was there for Wagner to take and run with it.
Yeah.
And do some amazing stuff. I love it.
But
I don't like it when, this was a tradition. It was the 1930s, infamously Grove's Dictionary.
Yeah.
Which has this little article on Franz Liszt and just is like,
yeah, I know. But they
party music for drunk people,
Oh,
it's just really cheesy, shitty stuff.
Yeah.
And he's had a respectful revival in the 20th century. He was connected with the worst of what people said about 19th century pianists.
Yeah. For a while, said that he took a chance performing at Carnegie Hall doing all those transcriptions.
Huh.
And so basically what he did was during an interview, he just said what the critics were going to say about his concert the following day after Carnegie Hall. Because back then, pianists were he says pianists back then were starting to go more towards German and contemporary composers.
Right. You know why? I have a theory about this.
You do?
I actually had a theory about why a number of our American pianists suffered physically.
Yeah.
Can I say this per minute to interrupt?
Sure.
Arthur Schnabel was a monumental educational force on American pianism in the early 20th century.
Yeah.
He was the guy who had the place on Lake Como where everybody would go and take summer lessons with him.
Yeah.
Now, Liszt had done this in Weimar and Leipzig. And then Arthur Schnabel, everybody would go, and instead of Arthur Schnabel hang up their little tile, student of Arthur Schnabel.
Yeah.
The way Schnabel learned to play, and then the way he's taught, what they used to say, is Schnabel was a genius child.
Oh, absolutely.
And was the first child student that Leschetizky ever accepted in his studio. He had teaching assistants who trained people, and generally wouldn't take anybody under the age of 16. Because he thought that emotionally and everything, and even technically they weren't ready.
Yeah.
He was looking at finishing some really top-notch people, and there was plenty of study with him. Von Sauer and lots of Von Sauer came later, but he was already well established. But a lot of famous pianists studied with Leschetizky. And it was amazing because the formula was, they'd finish at 18 or 19 and go out and start doing their thing and have magnificent careers. Moiseievich, Friedman, all these different people that came out of there. And Paderewski was the one where he refused to teach him because when he came, he thought he was too old. But
he was 30.
One of the most famous ever.
Yeah.
But one of his teaching assistants said, "You got to listen to this kid, Schnabel." He was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And he was playing Bach and Beethoven and stuff like that. And he brought Schubert to piano lessons. Nobody played Schubert back in those days. I mean, that was super acquired taste and was not taken seriously as nothing close to Beethoven, Schubert did it. And Leschetizky said, okay. And he taught Schnabel all the way up until he was about 18. And of course, he went on to say, well, Schnabel was very famous because, and apparently the lessons he took with Leschetizky were mostly on repertoire, that he somehow managed to have this ability. Some people criticize his technique. I don't know how or why. They say that he doesn't have the same technique that Paulini does or some other people when they play Beethoven and things. But Schnabel plays, for me, some of the most persuasive, characteristically true interpretations of Beethoven anybody ever has. He kind of set the standard at the beginning. But he was famous for being available to teach in the summertime, but he did Liszt like master classes. You didn't go to him to improve your scales in your bedroom.
Right.
He brought in finished pieces, he would comment, he would suggest things to you, and so forth. Sometimes he would demonstrate, a lot of the time he would talk about it. And, you'd go take some lessons amongst 40 or 50 people in the room and get a few chances and then come back to America. I studied with Arthur Schnabel. This is the same time that they started to do John Thompson books out of Willis Music Company. And there was this idea that Schnabel had because there was a famous, Ole Bull was a famous friend of Edvard Grieg, was a great violinist from Norway.
Yeah.
And his grandson or grandnephew or something like that, Storm Bull, I thought it must be an Indian guy.
Yeah.
No, he's Norwegian.
Yeah.
He was on the faculty at Boulder a long time ago.
Storm was?
Storm Bull was there. He was done and gone by the time I got there, for sure. But Howard, what was his name? Howard Waltz. I took some lessons with Howard Waltz. He was a colleague of his.
Yeah.
Then he still had a studio in the basement and would come in and practice every day. Remarkable man, really good teacher. The things he taught me, and the few lessons I had. But Storm Bull, when they decided to do a doctorate at Colorado, Storm Bull's very, I think, Schnabel-esque kind of suggestion was, well, they either learn all the 48 preludes and fugues and play it by memory, or they learn all the 32 Beethoven sonatas and play it by memory. You do either one of those, we'll give you a doctorate. Because pretty much any challenge in anything that's in music, at least certainly from a musical point of view, and especially really both of them, there's lots of technical problems there.
Yeah.
Play all the preludes and fugues of Bach, or play all the Beethoven sonatas. That'll get you a doctorate. Now, that's not what they do. It's not the way they did it.
Yeah.
But that was his solution. And there was this growing tradition in the United States was that you learn to play the piano from repertoire. So John Thompson was all about stages of more and more difficult repertoire that you would master and play it like that, with not a lot of emphasis on scales and arpeggios and technique and charity and all those kinds of things. It was the modern way of playing. I mean, I was exposed to John Thompson at the beginning for a while. It wasn't until I got Professor Wynn that he had me doing Hammond and different things like that. But I kind of formulated this idea that what happened was a lot of people were influenced pedagogically by Schnabel's approach to music making and music teaching. And then Horowitz showed up. And then they wanted to play like Horowitz, but they were still studying in the Schnabel-esque kind of methods. And that's not going to work, because the Russian pianists go back to, and still have, I mean, if you do use Peskanov's books, for example, intensive technical training, dry kinds of bullshit. And they talk about this, even Rubinstein, when he studied with Barth, talks about all the exercises and stuff he had to play. And he used to put a book up on the piano and read, and put white Lindt chocolates on the piano and eat chocolates and read while he was practicing his very, very technical exercise. He thought it was boring as hell. But Barth, you couldn't get through his lessons without being able to demonstrate all this stuff. And of course, Salati went over and set up the Russian system. And it's always, the Russian school's always been famously full of technical challenges. Screw the music. You don't get to the music until you prove yourself as capable of doing stuff at the piano. And I think what happened in America was we bought into, and it was very commercial and all this kind of stuff. A lot of famous pianists came over, and there was this huge emphasis, and it was like this a lot when I first started to study. I feel like I was coming into the end of that period when I was first young and playing. It was all about repertoire. Then you learn your piece, and then you play it and impress people. And then you learn pieces that are harder the next time and impress people. I was lucky I had a lady, Daryl Greenewald, that I studied with after that and for a while. She always taught me my scales and some arpeggios and things. Well, her teacher had been a Juilliard graduate. And who started Juilliard? Rossini and Joseph Levine, Russians. So I think it was a mix of that. But then it was really weird how, now I know that focal dystonia is a different issue with Fleischer. But we lost it. Gary Graffman was one of them, right? And did Ivan Davis have any trouble?
No,
I'm not sure, but there were some really top drawer American pianists who had physical problems, and I think that eventually led in the 80s to the idea of using athletic rehabilitative sciences for helping musicians recover or to learn body awareness in order to learn how to be less dangerous to themselves. So that's my philosophy about that.
Wow.
And why did I say that? Because I interrupted you.
Oh, because of oh jeez. It's been so long I can't remember.
Who's the guy that got it? Dudley Moore, but I don't know. Well, when you listen to the film, you know what the connection was. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We were talking about, you got, let's see. Oh yeah, we were talking about Earl Wild and why he did transcriptions. And then he said, but back then, he says, the arrangements and doing fantasies on this, reminiscences of that.
That's what this 19th century guy says.
Yeah, and he says
the art of improvisation was incredibly important through the mid-19th century.
But he says the pianists during his day, they were leaning more towards Brahms and contemporary composers. Right. And you said you had a theory about that.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's where the Schnabel thing comes in. Because, Schnabel was infamously concerned in terms of the repertoire.
Yeah.
He played the Viennese artists, the Viennese composers, and Brahms.
Yeah.
It should be on a list that I know of. Now, Brindle was interesting because he eventually became associated with the same school.
Yeah.
Mostly, Viennese composers.
Right.
But he played a lot of other stuff too.
Oh yeah, he did.
Played Liszt really well.
Oh yeah.
But then Schnabel was not. He really didn't come to America so much, but Americans went to him because he was the guy to study with in the early 20th century. He was also famous because he never played encores. The music that we have on the program should be sufficient for you. Come next time and see what else we're doing. He wouldn't play encores. So, anyway.
Okay.
So that's Gilligan.
Gilligan, a skip or two. So, here we go. You ready? Walter Gieseking.
Well, see, the character of the skipper is a bit of a doofus. Obviously, he knows how to captain the ship.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be leader. I mean,
but he's kind of a bit of a doofus about it sometimes, and very short-tempered.
Okay.
The only thing I'd say about knowing about Gieseking, I think he was a very brilliant, cosmopolitan, and I've understood a guy with a really great sense of humor. So I'm not sure about that one.
Okay.
I might argue with about that one.
John Ogden.
I get it, the way he looks,
Big.
big guy, physically.
Yeah.
But come on, John Ogden played the Masonic concerto, recorded, one of the most famous recordings. So no, I still don't. I don't go.
You agree with that? Okay. All right. Here's my last one.
Oh.
You probably don't know this guy. It's Mac Rebenak, a.k.a. Dr. John.
The Muppet?
No! Dr. John. The blues piano.
Oh, the black guy.
No, he's not black.
Oh, not Dr. No,
Dr. John.
Oh, I
This
think
guy.
Julie Blake.
No, this is Dr. John. He's also, he had an album called Professor Longhair, and
Yes, I remember.
he's a blues piano player, and he could very well do skip.
All right, yes.
Have you ever seen
Dr.
him?
John is the skipper. Yeah, I could get that. Dr. John and Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
That's a good team. Okay, I like that.
Okay, shall we move on?
Yeah.
So, Gilligan, Skipper 2, the millionaire and his wife. Okay, so here, what?
I'm thinking of the Nation.
Okay, here are the nominees. The Levines.
Exactly. Totally. There you got it.
Okay. Robert and Gabi Castasus.
Not too French.
Two French.
They took themselves very seriously.
Yeah, which is, they were sophisticated, and which I kind of see that as sort of the Howells as being a silly way being
I
sophisticated.
think the Levines, from what I understand, from what I heard about them, they could yuck it up.
They could,
Joseph more than Rosita in parties.
Yeah.
But Gabi and Robert Castasus always seem to be so French.
Yeah.
Very French. This is the way you must play Mozart. He was French, was he not?
Okay, I only had 3 nominees for this one.
We murdered his best friend. But we make up for it because we know that Mozart in his soul, he was French. Sorry, I like his Mozart,
Okay, yeah.
And some of the stuff they did together. Fine, man.
All right, so we have the Levines.
Actually, don't I have him playing part-time?
Castasus. I don't know, maybe.
Oh.
All right, here are the last nominees. Mr. and Mrs. Horowitz.
Oh my God. You got it.
What?
Yeah, Wanda and Vladimir, yeah. Perfect.
Perfect?
Because Vladimir was a clown. He loved to clown up.
Oh, yeah, he was.
And it was really great. Now, she was more serious because she was always like watching it just as audition.
Yeah, exactly.
She had a stick up. She had a Toscanini baton up her ass.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, it's no surprise that Horowitz was. Everybody's surprised when he got married because even Rubenstein said,
Yeah.
"Come on, everybody knew he was gay."
Yeah.
With the bow ties and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And married Wanda because Toscanini was her dad.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, come on, the two of them together. That's a memorable Emperor concerto.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good. I like that.
Okay.
Even more than the Levites. That's a perfect fit.
Mr. and Mrs. Horowitz?
Because of their relationship together, yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Oh,
They were funny to see on
they were
film.
funny. But
She just like put him in his place sometimes. She would just grunt or say something from the sofa.
But Harold C. Schoenberg, you know the story
And
about
he would say, she gets mad at me a lot.
You know the Harold C. Schoenberg story about their garden?
No.
Well, they had this prize-winning vegetable garden. He and his wife, Harold and his wife. And, they were about ready to, for the contest judging.
Ooh.
When they found out, a week before the contest, their vegetables were being taken in the middle of the night. And so one night he decides to listen really carefully what's happening in their garden. And so early in the one morning, at 4:00 in the morning, he hears some commotion going on in his garden. So he goes out the back door and flashes the flashlight. It's Mr. and Mrs. Horowitz. They had these hats on. They both had baskets, and we're filling their baskets with their vegetables.
That says something about their class, really.
Yeah, but it's
funny. It is
Mr. and
funny.
Mrs. Howell. It's something like comedy. It's comedic almost, and they did it. Well, anyways.
They knew who they were stealing them from?
Yeah, well, yeah,
I
they
wonder if
did.
Horowitz did that on purpose to get back at Schoenberg.
For his Carnegie Hall concert yeah, it could be.
I'm going to get that son of a bitch's tomato. He will not have one corn cob.
Okay, so we have here Gilligan, skipper to the millionaire, and his wife, the movie star. Okay, here we go. I only have 3 nominees for this one.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them you'll find the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but for the third one, I'm going to start with the third one I found out simply because of her. Well, she was iconic during her time. I went old school on this one. Teresa Carreño.
Yeah.
Because she was practically, she not only was a star as a pianist, but she was also an opera singer.
Yeah.
She did the Valkyries. She sang the Valkyries. And
for a while, she was married to the short little guy. Eugene Dalbert.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So that's one. I'll go with, let's see, next one, Yuja Wang. Because she sort of exhibits that sort of
I like that.
star.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, the last one, which is probably my winning choice, Katya Bunetshvili.
No. Yeah.
Why do you say it that way?
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I like to watch her play.
okay, oh, God.
No girl can play.
Oh, yeah, the girl could play.
But, man. Yeah. When I was younger, I would have definitely had a pinup poster of that.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, fine, she does good. I think maybe Yuja is self-aware.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much, what's her name? Ginger?
Katya.
Ginger was. But I get almost like Yuja could do it as though she were a guy in drag. Like over the top and enjoy doing it, but with a twinkle in her eye and laugh. Because what she's doing, I really think what she's doing is being proud to be a woman, and I'm not excusing nothing about it.
Yeah.
Showing off my body and wearing stuff to be provocative.
Yeah.
But I don't need to dress provocative because I can play the piano better than anybody.
Yeah.
I think she'd be good at that, but it'd be a different kind of Ginger.
Ginger, absolutely.
I don't know her personality, Katya, so well. I've seen her a little bit talk and stuff. But
She definitely has a shape for her.
we gotta be careful. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'd pick Yuja.
You go with UJ?
Yeah, because she would bring so much personality to the part.
Okay.
I think she'd be better at it than Ginger.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But she would love to do the clothes and the whole bit. And that's what I meant by
Close.
almost like a transvestite, you know, kind of presenting the character. Because I don't mean this. Apparently, she's straight. It's not for us to say, and it's nothing with right or wrong. But she's a powerful woman. Yeah. She's got all the magic she needs to do whatever she wants. Yeah. She doesn't need a man to make magic work. Right. And it makes me wonder, not wonder. They say different reasons why Klaus and she broke up. Yeah. Yeah. I think she'd be a hell of a lot of woman to handle.
Oh yeah, she would.
In many ways. I think she's a take charge kind of girl. Oh yeah, I definitely see sort of a dominant personality. She has so much energy. She's like practical electricity in that dress. Yeah. And the play. I mean, who else on this planet could Yun-chan do it? Nobody could do this. No. Sit down and play the 4 Rachmaninoff concertos and the Rhapsody of Paganini. Yun-chan Liu? Are you talking Yun-chan Liu? No, I'm talking about Yuja. Yeah, but you said who else on the planet? Well, I just asked, could Yun-chan do it? No, I don't think he could. I don't think he needs to or would. But who else can sit down and play that well, all 4 concerti and the Rhapsody? In one night? Well, I don't think she did one. She did one day in the East, and then she did it in 2 nights in Los Angeles. Okay. I think they did it in other places too. Yeah. But still. Yeah. I studied with a guy, Theodore Latford, at Ann Arbor for a while. He's from Chicago originally. Uh-huh. And 2 nights. He was an amazing pianist, and he was quite famous as a concerto pianist and just real presence at the piano. You're looking about Lettvin. I don't know if I can find any pictures, but I'll definitely put his name out. Uh-huh. I took some lessons with him in Ann Arbor, and I was going to study with him, and I went to Ann Arbor. But instead I went to Wisconsin and studied with Art Carr. I heard about, I don't think he told me this, but he was quite a character and a really great teacher. Funny guy, compulsive, impulsive, over-the-top kind of character. But he decided, I think it had something to do with his students coming to complain. They're so tired about, it takes a lot on me to get this concerto prepared and I've got all my other repertoire. Yeah. So one week he announced it, like a week ahead of time. Okay, next week's on Tuesday. Yeah. And what he did is he had arranged with other students to prepare the orchestra parts. Yeah. Tuesday night, he did all 5 Beethoven concerti. 1, 2, 3, intermission 4, 5. And the next night, he played Brahms 1, intermission Brahms 2. And it wasn't with the orchestra, he played it with the second piano. His students played with him. Wow. But, they just put it together that week he did it. People said just tour de force. The guy was just incredible. Wow. 7 concerti in 2 nights. All right. And I mean, Rubinstein was famous when, in the 60s, somewhere around there, he did the Carnegie Hall concerts, presented his kind of version of 12 historic recitals and all that solo music and everything. Plus, he played something like 16 concertos over 2 weeks with orchestra in New York. 16? 16 in 2 weeks, yeah. All the Beethovens, Brahms, Chopin, Tchaikovsky, Grieg, what else was there? But I think it was 16 of them. 2 weeks. Did it not sure. Franck. But, see, you just that girl seems indefatigable, really powerful. Yeah. And her playing is good, and her interpretations are good. And then she could just play Georgie Schiffer stuff, which is, who can do that? Lotos. I mean, a few people are in there. Well, but come on, Georgie Schiffer. Save your judgment till you listen to that. Yeah. No, I mean, Velotos could do it too. Yeah, I get that. But this is not a person that can pull that stuff out of there. Yeah. Okay, so I think
Professor and Mary Ann.
Yeah.
Okay, Professor. All right, for these guys, I have 4 nominees.
I know who this is. I personally, but go ahead.
Okay, I picked people that have analytical minds.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one was Glenn Gould.
No.
No.
No, because he wouldn't be able to live with any of them, and he has no sense of humor. He thinks he's very funny, but the guy was way serious, way intellectual.
Yeah. Ralph Schoenberg.
I don't think the guy was.
He was in the numbers.
A
So,
youngster.
okay.
Not a youngster.
Arthur de Grief.
Don't know anything about him. I mean, I know his name.
Yeah.
Pianists and so
Well,
forth.
with the glasses, he
Yeah.
looks smart.
Yeah.
All right, the last one. Anthony Hopkins.
Oh.
He does play. He was a piano performance
and he
major.
composed. I have a CD of his compositions.
He was a piano performance major at the Royal Conservatory of Music. So,
I just wonder why he didn't choose Alfred Brendel. He's got a good sense of humor. I met the guy.
well,
And
I
he was
never met the guy.
incredibly intelligent.
Oh, yeah, he's intelligent.
And he wore glasses.
And he wore glasses. But
I'd say Brendel.
you say Brendel?
Brendel.
Okay.
He's a professor. That was Mary Ann.
Who's Marianne? Okay, I saved him. She's the last one in the song.
Country Bumpkin.
Professor and Marianne. Okay. There's 3 nominees for this one. First one was Maria João Pires.
Oh, I love her playing.
Yeah.
I first learned about her with the Mozart sonatas.
Yeah, so did
Through
I.
CDs.
Yeah.
Wow. Mitsuko Uchida is one thing, and then there's Maria
Maria
João.
João Pires, yeah.
And she's done so many other things. I've got 2 different CD collections on my wish list for her, which I would love to have. She's a really cool little lady.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her name was kind of tough, little sprite.
Oh yeah, but I've also know I've heard stories about her being a humanist, a real humanist,
Oh yeah, she's good with people.
and particularly with children.
Yeah.
Because there's video footage of her working at a sort of cafeteria or food pantry where she's feeding,
Good.
poor children.
Good for her.
It's quite a picture.
Okay.
So, all right, next nominee, Ellen Grimaud.
No.
Well,
She's good with wolves.
Yeah.
But I think because of her personality and everything, she's kind of a lone wolf. That's why she works with wolves.
okay.
She plays well with orchestras and stuff, and she has an interesting way of approaching. I wouldn't say she brings like a magical, colorful way of playing like Yun Chen or Ignaz Friedman,
Yeah.
or even Maria Valparez. But no, I think her personality is too lone wolfy.
Okay.
So
All right, the third one's my favorite. Joanne Castle.
the comedic lady.
She's not comedic.
What are you
She
talking
played
about?
the piano for Lawrence Welk.
Lawrence Welk. Yeah, that's what I meant. Oh.
She's rather down home and she's having fun. She's always,
Yeah, I get that.
she's sort of
I
Marianne-ish,
get that.
right?
I get that. You know what I would think?
She's from
would be
California.
really funny.
Yeah.
Because you know who else plays really good piano? Phil Stiller. I think that would be totally out of character and totally funny, but
Phyllis
Stiller.
Oh, I
Marianne.
forgot about that.
She got him.
She's
She
from
was John
Lima.
Carson one show
She's from Lima.
and sat down and played Bach on the piano, straight as an arrow. I mean, serious classical music, totally focused, totally there. My dad was just like, "Wow, I didn't know she could do that."
You know
He
what
was
else?
very impressed.
You know what else she did?
What?
She won a concerto competition up in Toledo.
Wow.
She got to play. Let's see. My conductor from high school was in the Toledo Youth Symphony.
Wow.
She had won the concerto competition, and she performed the first movement to Beethoven's First.
I found her really. She talked about privately that piano remained always an important part of her life.
I did not
She
know
played
that.
a lot privately. I don't think she performed much. Well, we better call this. It's been almost 2.5 hours.
Okay.
That's by far.
All right, that's all right. Joanne Castle,
Yeah, that works.
Bakersfield, California.
Yeah, I get it. I remember that.
Okay, well, folks, that's pretty much it for today. If you like our content, you had a good time. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Please like us, thumbs up, comment. If we missed anything, or maybe you have some ideas about some of the content we had today, or any, maybe behind the scenes stories about some of the people we talked about today, or Gilligan's Island, if you want.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Subscribe. Tell us about tell your family about us, tell your neighbors about us, tell your colleagues about us. Otherwise, we'll catch you in our next episode.
I'm Dr. Marc.
I'm Elmer.
And this is Mark and Elmer's
PSI.
Piano City
Investigations.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.